February 14th, Valentine's Day, 2024, morning session of the Portland City Council. Keelan, good morning. Please call the roll.
Good morning. Rubio.
Here.
Ryan. Gonzalez.
Here.
Maps.
Here.
Wheeler.
Here. And now we'll hear from legal counsel on the rules of order and decorum. Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to the Portland City Council. To testify before council in person or virtually, you must sign up in advance on the council agenda at www.portland.gov/council/agenda. Information on engaging with City Council can be found on the Council Clerk's webpage. The presiding officer preserves order and decorum during City Council meetings. The presiding officer determines the length of testimony. Individuals generally have 3 minutes to testify unless otherwise stated. A timer will indicate when your time is done. Disruptive conduct such as shouting, refusing to conclude your testimony when your time is up, or interrupting others' testimony or council deliberations will not be allowed. If you cause a disruption, a warning will be given. Further disruption will result in ejection from the meeting. Anyone who fails to leave once ejected is subject to arrest for trespass. Additionally, council may take a short recess and reconvene virtually. Your testimony today should address the matter being considered. When testifying, state your name for the record. Your address is not necessary. Disclose if you are a lobbyist. If you are representing an organization, please identify it. For testifiers joining virtually, please unmute yourself once the council clerk calls your name. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. And before we get into today's session, colleagues, as you know, we've been having problems with the lights here in our temporary chamber. First and foremost, I want to give a shout out to Adam from BTS for, I think for the better part of 3 hours yesterday, holding the button on the on switch. And he shouldn't have to do it. That was definitely beyond the call of duty, Adam. We really appreciate you. The good news also is, it's my understanding, I think, Megan, that by this afternoon session, they'll have a different setup in here. Is that right?
I don't know if they've fixed all the issues though.
They think they have.
They think they have.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
we'll.
they've been
Steady
tested.
since 7 a.m.
Oh, perfect. Good. Okay, so it may already be fixed. That's really good news. Any rate, I just wanted to thank Adam on behalf of all of us. First up, communications. First individual, please. Item number 131.
Request of Joe Stanger to address council regarding the need for a transportation system that addresses climate goals, cyclists, and pedestrians.
Welcome.
Good morning, Mayor Wheeler and members of the City Council. My name is Joe Stenger. I'm a retired family doctor, and I'm co-chair of the Transportation Committee for MCAT, Mobilizing Climate Action Together. One of my sons does not own a car and uses a bike for transportation. When I worked at Legacy Emmanuel, I commuted by bike, rain or shine. I had the benefit of riding on bike routes, and I had some close calls, such as the common problem of a car making a right turn just in front of me, even as if I wasn't there. But I survived that decade-long commute. Many others weren't so fortunate. I continue to primarily bike and have appreciated improvements such as the bikeway along NATO Parkway. I have had to navigate bike lanes full of parked cars, trash cans, branches, and gravel. I was present in November for the absurdity of removing the newly installed bike lanes on Northeast 33rd Avenue in Holman. I've been reprimanded by my family for biking on dangerous Northeast Marine Drive, a road with a narrow unprotected bike lane next to speeding semis. And I participated in November's local march on the World Day of Remembrance for road traffic victims. 65 traffic deaths in Portland in 2023, the highest in 30 years. Not quite as many as the 74 homicides last year, but which one gets all the media attention and the billboards? I was unable to find a public statement from this council about this devastating statistic. Kudos to you for the Fix Our Streets program that funds projects like Safe Routes to School. We need renewal of the gas tax to continue these crucial efforts at a time of worsening deficits for PBOT. And kudos for the evolving plan to rework 82nd Avenue to enhance its livability, and for the grant you'll be discussing today regarding Northeast 106 Avenue. We know what works to reduce street deaths and injuries. Fully implement the US DOT Safe Systems approach. Analyze each significant crash and take actions to avoid recurrences. Narrower streets, stronger and wider dividers between bike lanes and cars, raise crosswalks, make Vision Zero a reality throughout our city. Be creative about funding for this through PBOT. Tie registration and parking fees to the size and weight of motor vehicles, since bigger cars are much more likely to kill, and work with US DOT and NHTSA to reduce the number of oversized vehicles. From the city's website, it appears there are 22 traffic safety cameras in operations now. Get many more of those operating in the high crash corridors. Eliminate barriers to automatic enforcement while actively preventing this being a tool that targets people of color. Implement higher penalties such as license removal. Promote safe, rapid, frequent, and low-cost transit. These changes will move us to a brighter future where we have shifted from being dependent on cars to one where the norm is for people to get where they need to go by foot, by two wheels, by transit, and to do so safely. Thank you for listening and taking action.
Thanks, Joe, and I know Commissioner Maps has a comment.
Joe, I want to just thank you. Here, we seem to have an echo in the room. I might just pause for a second to let us sort this out. Are we good? Great. Sorry about that, Joe. Hi, Mengus. I'm one of your commissioners in charge of transportation here in Portland. I just want to thank you for your testimony today. I agree with everything you said, and I actually think we have some particularly good news along many of these fronts. I really appreciate your call out for fixing our streets. That'll be on the May ballot for Portlanders to decide. I want to take a moment to encourage every Portlander to look into this. This particular program allows us to do the bread and butter maintenance, including maintaining and improving our bike infrastructure that helps keep people safe. Really glad to hear you be enthusiastic about the work that's done on 82nd. I'll tell you, I missed a work session here in council because the transportation secretary was in town to actually talk about a bridge, but that is not the first time the transportation secretary has been in town. I think the last time I was I spent time with Secretary Pete was taking a bus tour of 82nd Avenue. We have amazing partners, including the federal government, deeply committed to fundamentally transforming that streets. The other thing I want to highlight is you called for more traffic safety cameras. And one of the good news stories that will come out of today's council session is an ordinance I'm bringing that will do exactly that. We're going to ask council to approve a proposal that will boost PBOT's ability to bring on more traffic cameras into our system. So a lot of important work still left to be done. One of the ways we get it done is through advocates like you. So Joe, thanks for being here today. We really appreciate hearing your voice. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll hand it back.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you so much.
Next individual, please, item 132.
Request of Portland advocates for lead-free drinking water to address council regarding Portland Water Bureau and Public Health.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. On behalf of Portland Advocates for Lead-Free Drinking Water. Communities across the country received hopeful news last December on lead in drinking water. I asked for public outreach by the water director, whose pervasive problem isn't even half fixed, to share this, but she declined, and so here we are. 2 years ago, the Environmental Protection Agency gave a heads up to water agencies nationwide that EPA will be strengthening the Safe Drinking Water Act, specifically the lead and copper rule. And here's why. First, it's outdated. It had become clear to EPA that the public was not being protected from lead in drinking water after numerous crises occurred in Washington, D.C. in 2001, Flint in 2014, Newark, New Jersey in 2018, and Portland, Oregon since 1997. Even when there are supposedly no lead service lines, water that is inadequately treated for corrosion can cause serious lead contamination, as it has in Portland, and where it's an ongoing problem. In response to overwhelming public support for strong lead and drinking water safeguards, several environmental, public health, and community advocacy organizations released our statements detailing what this broad support means for EPA as they finalize updates to the lead and copper rule. Known as the LCRI, this regulation is a welcome step forward for public health, but only if water providers follow the letter and the spirit of the law. Lead is a cumulative toxin at even low levels. There's no reason it should be in our drinking water, and lead impacts developing brains. And since it's Valentine's Day, I'll add that chronic exposure to this potent neurotoxin is also a major risk for cardiovascular disease. EPA is very close to achieving a strong LCRI as they work to close regulatory loopholes set 5 parts per billion as the maximum contaminant level, and prohibit misleading public messaging. We know this is feasible, especially in the western region of the United States, because Seattle Water and other Pacific Northwest region providers achieved that years ago, except Portland. EPA's long-awaited proposal to get the lead out of tap water is a bright spot for us because we've been ignored, censured, intimidated, and even discredited to get us to go away. On the eve of EPA's strengthened Lebanon copper rule, and with 3 of you vying to be mayor this November, we're also here to urge you as soon as possible, 1, to ask Water Bureau Director Solmer to highlight EPA's health-centered LCRI with her customers, and 2, ask that she, Water Quality Manager Yona Akagi, and Lead Treatment Engineer Kimberly Gupta post a concise but brief summary of their 12-page commentary to EPA. Please ask them to not bury it on the website. Their comments are a rare glimpse into Bureau's thinking and decision-making about our drinking water. If you'd like to see, I was going to post something that the Water Bureau has, if you'd like to see it. I know I'm out of time. Would you like to see that? Keelan has that ready to go. Anybody?
Can you submit it for the record, and then we can all have the opportunity to see it?
Well, this is for the public, actually. It's a very short clip. It's just a little short video clip.
How short?
Yeah, I think it's a minute.
Okay, go ahead.
Really, it's very short. Okay, Keelan, thank you. This is what we received for public health, for public outreach, by the way. Keelan, thank you.
Service truck.
Go south for a minute.
Service truck. Service truck. Service truck. Service truck. Service truck. Service truck.
All right, there's a minute.
Service truck.
All right,
So
thank you.
colleagues, this is why when people do stupid things like that we have council rules. And I gave you the benefit of the doubt, and you basically turned it into a joke.
You mean the Water Bureau did?
No, I think you did. So thank you for participating. Next individual, please, item number 133.
Request of Ethan Frazier to address council regarding a proposal to install calisthenics equipment in parks.
Is that a Water Bureau commercial?
I don't know what that was.
Who knows? But not necessarily something that needed to be seen at council.
Published by the Portland Water Bureau or someone else? Is that authentic?
We don't know. We don't know. But it would have been helpful to have some context before, and I stupidly allowed them to play the video. I don't know where that video is going, but it didn't look like it was going anywhere good. So I made a judgment call.
If she slandered the Water Bureau, she should be held accountable for slander. But if that was produced by the Water Bureau needs to be held accountable for that.
Fine. I'm not disagreeing with that. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, City Council members. I came specifically to address Mr. Dan Ryan, but I see he's not here today. So anyway, my name is Ethan Frazier. I'm a 20-year-old student and Portland native. And I'd like to address you today about a proposal to install calisthenics equipment in our city parks. And let me start off with a little personal anecdote. Recently, I visited Santiago, Chile, and was thoroughly impressed with their infrastructure and public works. Besides the incredible transit, the amenity which I found myself using most was their public parks, specifically the exercise equipment, which could be found in almost all of them. This ranged from just a few pull-up bars to areas which were almost like outdoor gyms. But what I found most interesting about these places was that each of them had gathered a local community of fitness enthusiasts who could be found there at all hours of the day. The old, the young, men, women, people of all social strata came to exercise in the park. Besides that example, it seemed that Chilean people spent a lot of time living life in public spaces, which made the city feel quite lively and welcoming. And while I was there, I made a habit of spending some time in the park every day and ended up socializing with a lot of locals. But upon returning home, I felt the urge to continue my routine of working out at the park. But I was not able to find even a single pull-up bar at any park in my area, which is Northeast Portland. Of course, without the proper facilities, there cannot be any community like there is in Santiago, and everyone in fitness here simply goes to a fluorescently lit indoor gym because that's the only option. And that is what brings me here to speak today. I'd like to propose that the Parks Department install some exercise equipment such as pull-up bars, parallel bars, and the like in at least some of our parks, especially in economically disadvantaged areas where people might not have access to a gym. Doing so would help to improve public health, would provide a free public gathering place to engage in productive activity, and would hopefully encourage people to engage more with other members of the community who they might not have otherwise met. As a quickly growing and increasingly dense city, Portland needs to consider small improvements like this, which taken as a whole end up improving public life and ultimately bringing people together. And I know that this might not be the most pressing matter for the city of Portland, but I sincerely implore you to consider my proposal, and thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you. Don't run off just yet. Commissioner Maps has a comment.
Sure, Ethan. I agree with you. I've seen similar setups in cities throughout America. One thing which works really well, I think, is to have this kind of equipment along running paths, so you can like run a quarter mile, half a mile, do sit-ups, push-ups, pull-ups, whatnot. Relatively affordable. I think it's a great idea. My advice, I know Commissioner Ryan, I think, has another engagement, but will be here any minute. In order to make sure that your message gets to him, I encourage you to submit written testimony to his office just so that he can hear. I have a hard time imagining that Commissioner Ryan would not be deeply sympathetic to your suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
By the way, thank you. I had a question. You mentioned Santiago, Chile,
Yeah.
and I was just curious what it was you saw there that it inspired you. I haven't had the opportunity to go there, but I'm just curious.
No, all it was just that people really used the parks. I find that here often I'll go to the park or whatever, there's no one there. And, you know, because there's not a lot to do, or it's kind of shabby or whatever. But there, you know, whenever I was walking around, I'm not that good at impromptu speaking, but there, people would just come and be doing a bunch of exercise stuff all day, all hours of the day, lots of people. And then I came home and I went to the park and I was like, yeah, I'm going to go continue doing that. Maybe I missed it when I was here, but didn't find anything similar. And so, you know, I figured instead of grumbling about it to myself, I'd come and speak to you guys about it.
It's a good grumble. I actually really like your idea of more exercise equipment, and I agree with Commissioner Maps. I know I've seen it associated with the running trails,
Yeah.
but I don't know that it's actually a standard part
No,
of our park system, and it's just like pull-up bars and other things like that
Stuff like
are
that.
easy to do.
yeah.
That'd be great. And so I'll make sure Commissioner Ryan is aware.
I'll help him.
Oh, great. Terrific, thanks. So he'll be here in a minute, and he'll see this video, and his staffer's here right now, and she'll connect with you.
Awesome. Thank you so
Thanks.
much,
Good-
Mr.
Good
Wheeler.
suggestions. We're glad you're here. Thank you. Next individual, please, item 133. I think. Is it 133?
Item 134.
134.
Request of Robert Butler to address council regarding Bull Run water treatment.
Mr. Butler, welcome. Hi. Good to see you.
Can I wait for Dan Ryan?
do you want to wait a minute if he's, I think he's only, is he on his, I think he's only going to be 10 minutes late.
Well, he's already 10 minutes late. I think we have two water items right here.
We'll make sure that he sees it.
Okay, so start, okay?
Or-
Okay. I'm Robert Butler, Portland, Oregon resident. And my comments are about the second most serious mistake any city council in Portland has ever made in our history. It's regarding the soon-to-be the most expensive facilities project in Portland, known as the Bull Run River Sand Filtration Project. Well, it's a runaway train to make Portland pay nearly $2 billion in climbing. The last 12 months, since last June to the prior June, 12 months before, projects overrun another $367 million. That's $1 million a day. 100 days ago, it was $1 million a day. So we're in the final preparation stages of this project, and it's a titanic nightmare. I noticed that the Portland Water Bureau came out with a comment on this project. It was the questions most often asked regarding the sand filtration project. And question number 4, I believe it was why not use ultraviolet light treatment for cryptosporidium elimination from our water instead of sand filtration? That was by far the best question, and the question that has the worst answer. And the answer is, well, the city council met and thought it had the most benefits. I'm sorry, I'm not quoting. And by the way, it's the best filtration method of water known is aggregate filtration or sand filtration. And that that's why. So it begs the question, well, how much better is it in terms of cost? And it's not at all. Actually, ultraviolet treatment is better at killing crypto than sand filtration. That's a fact, and I trust you will research that is a fact. Second of all, we already have about the best quality water in the world. Why would we ever filter it with sand when we already have the quality? It's like sawing sawdust. So the point is, it's time to abort this project, take our losses, install the state-of-the-art ultraviolet light treatment, which kills the Sporidium crypto, and move on to the ultraviolet approach, finish ahead of schedule, and probably save over $1 billion. And I challenge you to say differently with facts and accounting and mathematics. I challenge you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next individual, please, item 135.
Request of Ken Hahn to address council regarding Bull Run water treatment.
Is Ken online?
He was expected in person. Ken Hahn?
I'll just make one brief comment on this. Robert, you are correct that ultraviolet radiation is an excellent way to get rid of cryptosporidium, but that wasn't the only goal of this project. We're also concerned about other materials getting into the water supply. We could have gone a far less expensive solution that just had the ultraviolet treatment, but we're also concerned about sediment and other types of issues that we've seen become bigger threats in the years since we actually approved this. As you know, Bull Run is immediately adjacent to Mount Hood. Mount Hood is basically a pile of ash. It is a landslide-prone area. Similarly, we learned just a few years ago, after we'd approved the plant, that the Bull Run watershed is indeed at high risk of forest fires. And so I think that you're right. In the short term, we're all going to take a lot of criticism for having taken a more expensive route that covers more of our bases. But I'd rather do that and take the heat now than 20 or 30 or 40 years from now have one of these natural disasters destroy our water supply and have everybody wonder where the hell was the Portland City Council when they had the opportunity to address and prepare for these inevitabilities. And so it's never popular spending the public tax dollars. I will freely acknowledge that. I'd even go farther. I'd say there's very little that we do in this council chamber that's popular. We're spending people's money on things that may or may not happen, and that's just part of the job. But in this case, I've actually become more comfortable with the decision we've made rather than less, and that's why. I just think it solves a broader array of problems, but I agree with your science on cryptosporidium. So thank you for your participation. So that completes public testimony. We'll go to actually, before we do the first time certain item, have any items been pulled from the consent agenda?
Yes, one item, item 137.
137 is pulled. Please call the roll on the remainder of the consent agenda.
Rubio,
Aye.
Ryan, Gonzalez,
Aye.
Maps,
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye. The consent agenda is adopted. Thank you, Rebecca. First time certain item 136.
Proclaim January 15th, 2024 to be Shriners Children's Centennial Day.
Good morning. Our next item is a proclamation, as you just heard, celebrating Shriners Children's Centennial Day. Presenting on this item is Dorisa Reed, a hospital administrator. Welcome. Thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
Welcome. I am presenting also on behalf of Ray Zimmerman, who was unfortunately ill today. He is one of our board of directors. So I'll give you a little background that he was going to, and then just wrap it up on where we are today. So Mr. Mayor, council members, I'm delighted to be here and also representing not only the hospital, but the Board of Governors. Our Shriners Board represents shrine centers from Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Utah, Nevada, Alaska, and Western Canada. It all started in 1870 when a small group of Freemasons in New York City would regularly meet. Often discussion turned to forming a new fraternity for Masons based on the tenets of Freemasonry. But with the added elements of fun and fellowship, they became the Shriners, sort of a club within the Masons. 50 years later, in 1920, at the 46th National Session of Shriners, which was held here in Portland, the national president, the imperial potentate is the terminology they use, Freeland Kendrick was his name, recommended the formation of a Shriners Hospital for children who were at the time battling polio. He recommended that the funding come from an annual 2-year per capita tax to fraternity members. Many Shriners expressed doubts about the practicality and the responsibility that comes from starting and running a children's hospital. The prospects of the plan were fading when a Shriner stood up to address the crowd. This is part of their history. It's called the famous bubble speech. So I'll just read this quote from this gentleman. He says, he was lying in bed yesterday morning about 4 o'clock, and some poor fellow had strayed from the rest of the band and stood down there underneath the window for 25 minutes playing I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles. I wondered if there were not some deep significance in that tune that he was playing for the Shriners, I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles. While spent the money on songs and spent the money on bands, it was time for Shriners to spend money for humanity. I want to see this thing started. He let us lay aside the soap of water and stop blowing bubbles and get down to brass tacks. Let us get rid of all the technical objections. And if there is a Shriner in North America who objects to having paid the $2 after he has seen the first child help, this gentleman said he will give the check back himself. So this motion passed, and just a few years later, there were 22 hospitals built across Northern America. This was the original story and the founding of Shriners, which is now known as Shriners International Healthcare System. It has hospitals, medical centers, and clinics. In Portland, 100 years ago, that was the 5th location within the Shriners Health System. In 1924, on Sandy Boulevard and Northwest 82nd, Shriners Children's Portland opened their doors, providing pediatric orthopedic care for any child who needed care without regard for the ability to pay. Back in 2009, when we had our financial crisis that caused the donations to decline, we started accepting insurance and now are able to accept payment for treatment for those who can contribute, but it still allows us to care for more kids than we ever could before. In 1983, we moved up to Markham Hill, which has had a few expansions over the few years. It also has a major research center focusing on musculoskeletal research. So 100 years later, we're still probably the largest group of pediatric orthopedic providers in the U.S., and that gives you a little bit of history. Today, we continue to do this. We are also taking care of kids internationally right here in Portland. We continue to care and teach and conduct research. We care for the most complex to the simplest muscle and bone issues. Our Shriners physicians and staff are the best at what they do, and they are good humans. We are compassionate and committed professionals who provide family and patient-centered care. We are dealers of hope. We never give up on helping kids live their best lives. We also provide comprehensive rehab for children, and we have some really fun programs and recreational that gets kids out on the ski slopes, rock climbing, and many other outdoor activities. Our prosthetics team builds and custom fits children with devices that help them get back to being kids. We also manufacture and fabricate prosthetics and orthotics for the whole western half of the U.S., all the way out to the South Pacific, and that's right here in Portland. We have complex specialty clinics from neuromuscular conditions to cleft lip and palate repair to bone fragility and more. To better serve our community, we have a daily walk-in fracture clinic for any child age 0 to 17. Just walk in and you will get some really fantastic care. We have outreach clinics in Anchorage, Alaska, Pendleton, Oregon. We have a clinic that's permanent down in Medford. It's been very successful, and we're really looking forward to opening up more clinics throughout our great state of Oregon. On behalf of our team, I want to thank all of you for your hard work, your leadership, and tenacity in leading our city. Our city's future is very bright. Thank you for your help, and we are excited for the next 100 years in Portland. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have a couple of comments from commissioners. Commissioner Mapps first, then Commissioner Rubio.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to thank our guests for joining us today and highlighting the great work done by Shriners Children's. And I also want to say that I am delighted to join this council in proclaiming January 15th, 2024 to be Shriners Children Centennial Day. Now, as we've heard, and as the name of the proclamation implies, 2024 marks the 100-year anniversary of Shriners Children's here in Portland. And we also heard Shriners is a nonprofit hospital which provides specialized pediatric orthopedic care to children in the Pacific Northwest and beyond, regardless of ability to pay, which is incredible. Now, Shriners Children's Portland was established, as we learned, on January 15th, 1924 at Sandy and 82nd Avenue. That's a spot that I think all of us know very, very well, still is important in the life of our city. Moved up to Markham Hill in 1983. Shriners Children's Portland has cared for tens of thousands of children in Oregon over the last 100 years. And the Shriners system has cared for, I'm told, 1.5 million children and provides, as we all know, just world-class care. I want to thank you for all the work that you do, and I also want to put in a plug for you. I hear that on Saturday, February 24th, Shriners Children's Portland is hosting a celebration of the Century Gala fundraiser. I want to take this moment to encourage all Portlanders to attend that event and support the good work done by Shriners Children Portland. Again, thank you for joining us today, and thank you for all you do.
Thank you for all you guys do, too.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Rubio.
I
Not so
just-
fast.
Yeah, just,
Yeah. No, we got more.
I also just want to add my thanks to the presentation, and that historical context was really helpful. I just want to start off by acknowledging the compassionate and essential care that Shriners Children's Portland has given that has improved the quality of life for children and families over the past 100 years. 100 years of life-changing care is truly remarkable. So it's a really big accomplishment. And I also want to just lift up at the heart of that care over all those years, the people who do the work day in and day out, who are the first and last touchstone for families that could possibly be during the most challenging times in their lives. So you have an experienced care team, was reading the background about it, and you bring hope and healing to the world. So congratulations on this important milestone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Gonzalez.
I also want to thank the mayor for bringing this proclamation today and testimony. The Shriners are an incredible service organization, and their mission of ensuring free health care access to children across the country has been life-saving and crucial for hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of Americans. The work here locally has had profound impact on tens of thousands of children and their families. We all know how difficult and scary it is as a parent when a difficult medical diagnosis comes down, particularly when it concerns a young child. Went through that a couple times as a parent. Fortunately, it all turned out okay, but there's nothing quite like that feeling as a parent when you don't know about your child's future and you don't know about how you're going to be able to pay for it. So Shriners Children Portland uses that difficulty in a very material way, ensuring families can focus their attention on the healing journey and spend less time concerned about the huge bills that typically follow. It's my honor to help recognize 100 years of dedication to this mission, and I know so many here who are here today would like to honor and thank you as well. Providing financial support, transportation, housing, and research for those most in need, thank you. We are a stronger city with a stronger families because of your work. We would be truly lucky. We are truly lucky if your contribution lasts for another 100 years. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Teresa, I'm going to read a proclamation, but before I do, I just want to say how much we appreciate you being here, the work your colleagues do. We're at this incredible milestone of a 100-year anniversary. It's dedication to medical excellence and community support has been extremely commendable, and it's grown year by year. And I'm glad that we can take this moment as a council and as a city to really reflect on the important contributions of the Shriners. It goes without saying that we want to thank the Shriners, as well as the many volunteers and the staff who have shown their unwavering commitment to their work over many, many years. And with that, I'm really proud to read this proclamation on behalf of the Portland City Council in honor of the Shriners. Whereas the Shriners Children's Portland was established on January 15th, 1924 on Sandy Boulevard and Northeast 82nd Avenue in Portland, Oregon, and moved to Markham Hill in 1983. And whereas Shriners Children's Portland has cared for tens of thousands of children in Oregon over the past 100 years, and the Shriners Hospitals for Children system has cared for over 1.5 million children and provides world-class specialized care. And whereas the year 2024 marks the Centennial of Shriners Children Portland, a nonprofit hospital which provides specialized pediatric orthopedic care to children in the Pacific Northwest and beyond, regardless of their ability to pay, including dozens of international patients each and every year. It's appropriate at this time to extend special congratulations and the highest commendations for its achievements and positive impact on the communities that it serves. And whereas ranked nationally for its work in pediatric orthopedics by the U.S. News and World Report and Press Ganey, which reflects the opinion of the patients it serves, Shriners Children's Portland is the largest hospital in the region that offers comprehensive specialized programs to respond to the limited options for this pediatric subspecialty care, including fractures, pediatric surgery, acute inpatient pediatric rehabilitation, reconstructive surgery, complex spine disorders, cerebral palsy, spina bifida, and neuromuscular disorders. And whereas renowned as an invaluable resource in the Pacific Northwest, Shriners Children's Portland continues to help overcome barriers for patients accessing specialty pediatric care, including the coordination of housing and transportation services with a team of volunteers who are able to drive long distances to pick up patients. Its efforts to ensure access through the community, for the community, is greatly supported through its continuing collaboration with the Shriners International Fraternity. And whereas the invaluable contributions that Shriners Children's Portland has made in pediatric orthopedic research, including the 2021 CMX biomarker study, which reported on a collagen marker that eventually could allow surgeons to better recognize when a patient with scoliosis should discontinue bracing treatment. Their continued efforts to ensure access to vital care and resources for children and families reflect an organization that is devoted to providing you the best healthcare services possible for children in the Pacific Northwest and beyond. Now, therefore, I, Ted Wheeler, Mayor of the City of Portland, Oregon, City of Roses, do hereby proclaim January 15th, 2024, to be Shriners Children's Centennial Day in Portland, and recognize the countless individuals who've been involved in the success of the hospital, including Shriners, volunteers, and staff throughout its history of service to the Portland community and beyond. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's see, we'll move to the regular agenda, please. Item number 141.
Authorize settlement agreement with Portland Firefighters Association, International Association of Firefighters Local 43, and Robert Bedgood to settle a grievance and employment lawsuit involving Portland Fire and Rescue for $220,450.
Deputy City Attorneys Lisa Rogers and Ann Milligan are here to walk us through the ordinance. Good morning.
Good morning, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Lisa Rogers. I'm a Deputy City Attorney, and I use she, her pronouns. The settlement before you today secures the separation of Robert Bedgood, a former Fire Bureau employee, while resolving the pending grievance arbitration, as well as a pending lawsuit filed by Mr. Bedgood. Given the facts specific to Mr. Bedgood's termination, we assess there to be a risk of loss at arbitration. As you know, any time the city is defending a disciplinary outcome at arbitration, there is a risk that the discipline will be overturned. In cases where an arbitrator overturns a termination, the employee is often reinstated in their prior position, as well as paid for missed wages and paid for missed overtime opportunities. While the settlement gives Mr. Bedgood the back pay for salary and missed overtime opportunities that an arbitrator could have ordered, the city secured an agreement that Mr. Bedgood will not return to the workplace and will instead remain on paid administrative leave until he retires on June 10th, 2024. The grievance will be dismissed, and Mr. Bedgood's lawsuit will also be dismissed. The Fire Bureau and the City Attorney's Office believe this outcome is in the interest of the city and recommend approval of this settlement. And we're happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Colleagues, and thank you very much. Colleagues, any questions? Do we have public testimony on this issue, Rebecca?
Not.
This is an emergency ordinance. Please call the roll.
Rubio.
Aye.
Ryan. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Knapp's.
Aye.
Wheeler.
I'm glad a settlement was reached. I vote aye, and the ordinance is adopted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 142, please, a report.
Accept bid of $4,539,846 from Moore Excavation, Inc. for the Springwater Wetlands Enhancement Project.
The Bureau of Environmental Services Springwater Wetland Enhancement Project will improve water quality, enhance habitat, reduce flooding on private property in historically underserved communities, and support community amenities, particularly in the Lentz and Powellhurst-Gilbert neighborhoods. We have Chief Procurement Officer Biko Taylor with us here to present the item. Good morning, Biko. It's good to see you.
Good morning, Mayor Wheeler. Can you hear me clearly?
Loud and clearly, and we can see you. You look great.
Thank you. Good morning to also members of council. For the record, my name is Biko Taylor. I'm the Chief Procurement Officer. On August 16, 2023, City Council approved Ordinance 191418 for the successful completion of this project. At that time, the engineering estimate was $6,028,000, and the confidence level was moderate. Procurement Services issued the invitation to bid on September 21st, 2023, with a due date of November 30th, 2023. In total, procurement received 4 bids on this project. Moore Excavation is the low bidder and is a recommended awardee. For the record, this was a low bid contract. The bid total, $4,539,846, which is 25% below the engineering estimate. I have a few remarks from the Bureau about why the project came in lower than the estimate. One item was that council authorized 10% construction contingency for change conditions. And also that final bid amount yielded about $5 million total for construction. So that wasn't reflected in the final cost here. In addition, MEI bid significantly less for soil management than the anticipated original engineering estimate, which also yielded savings on the project. The city's standard 20% aspirational goal applies to the solicitation of this project as well. Moore will self-perform about 72% of the project. They did meet their 20% co-bid goal on the project as well. A few remarks about Moore Excavation. They are located in Fairview, Oregon. They are not a state co-bid certified contractor, and they do have a current City of Portland business tax registration and are in full compliance with all of the city's contracting requirements. If there are any questions about the procurement process, including any more remarks, any more context needed with the engineering estimate, I have my colleague from BES, Tressie Word, either in chambers or online, in attendance. With that, this concludes my presentation.
Thank you, colleagues. Any questions for Director Taylor? Do we have public testimony?
We do not.
This is a report, and I'll entertain a motion to accept the report.
So moved.
Commissioner Mapps moves. Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Commissioner Gonzalez seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Rubio,
I just want to appreciate BES's efforts in multilingual outreach to ensure that the residents of this area know when projects are starting and how it will affect their commute. I'm happy to vote aye.
Ryan, Gonzalez,
Aye.
Maps.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I want to thank BECO for helping move this project forward. As we heard, this is an environmental services project that will contribute to wetland restoration. Lots of benefits here. Will reduce flooding, enhance habitat, and improve access to nature. I'm very proud to have played a small role in moving this forward, and I'm very proud of my team over at BES for working on good works like this. I vote aye.
Wheeler,
I vote aye. The report is accepted. Thank you, Director Taylor. Next, item 143, also a report.
accept bid of Brown Contracting, Inc. for the Southwest 4th Ave Improvement Project for $15,935,568.
As part of the Portland Bureau of Transportation's Central City in Motion plan, this report authorizes a contract to reconstruct and repave Southwest 4th Avenue from Southwest Lincoln to Burnside while adding a protected bikeway as well as a bus turn lane. This will improve safety and cycling connectivity. We have Biko Taylor here again to present this item. Welcome, Biko.
Thank you, Mayor Wheeler. On June 22nd, 2022, City Council approved Ordinance 190894 to complete this project. The engineering estimate for the project was $13,264,230, and the confidence level was moderate. Procurement issued an invitation to bid on September 29th, 2023, with a due date of November 2nd, 2023. In total, we received 2 bids on the project. Brown Contracting Incorporated is the low bidder and the recommended awardee. Again, this is a low bid project. Their proposal in total came in at $15,935,568, which is 26.21% above the engineering estimate. A few items in context for the large increase between the bid price and the engineering estimate. The Bureau has stated that we have new global warming requirements for the concrete that we procure on our large city projects. As a result, this did impact project costs, particularly in the commodity area of carbon neutral concrete. Also, PBOT has been experiencing higher bids from the engineering team for downtown projects in lieu of the fact that some contractors have stated concerns over vandalism and theft alongside the complexity of working on downtown capital projects. The city's standard 20% aspirational goal did apply to the project. We have a brief breakdown. Brown will self-perform 47% of the project. 20% of the project will be performed by co-bid certified contractors, and 32% of this project will be performed by non-certified subcontractors. As a point of emphasis, Eugene William Construction will receive about $1 million. That's a Native American-owned contractor. We also have an African American-owned contractor, IMN Traffic Specialties, and also we have a women-owned contractor, Kodiak Pacific Construction as well, that's going to perform $1.5 million. So kudos to the PBOT team for putting together a diverse subcontract management team. Brown Contracting is located in Eugene, Oregon. It's not a state co-bid certified contractor. They do have a current City of Portland business tax registration and are in full compliance with the city's contracting requirements. PBOT will fund this through multiple funding sources, including the Fixing Our Streets initiatives, transportation system development charges, and also the Signals and Street Lighting initiative, with project partners TriMet and also Prosper Portland. So it's a collaborative effort on funding this project. If there are any questions about the procurement process, I'm happy to answer those questions. However, I do have my colleague from PBOT, Gabrielle Graff, as well in attendance to answer any more specific questions about engineering estimates, et cetera, and project scopes. With that, that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Director Taylor. Colleagues, any questions? Any public testimony, Rebecca?
There is none.
All right, this is a report. I'll entertain a motion to accept the report.
So moved.
Commissioner Maps moves, Commissioner Gonzalez seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll, Rebecca.
Rubio.
Thank you, Rico and PBOT, for all the team's work on this and for being such a successful example of an inclusive project or contract. Exciting project and happy to see it move forward. I vote aye.
Ryan.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Maps.
Yeah, again, Biko, thanks for the presentation and your help shepherding this forward. Again, I want to thank my team over at PBOT for bringing forward this important infrastructure improvement project. I vote aye.
Wheeler.
This is great. I'm very happy to vote for this. This will be a significant improvement to downtown and safety, so I vote aye, and the report is accepted. Best of luck on that one. Can you please read 144 through 149 together, please?
144, initiate foreclosure action at 3316 Southeast 131st Ave for the collection of delinquent city liens placed against the property. Item 145, initiate foreclosure action at 12914 Northeast Halsey Street for the collection of delinquent city liens placed against the property. Item 146, initiate foreclosure action at 1300 North River Street for the collection of delinquent city liens placed against the property. Item 147, initiate foreclosure action at 5923 North Detroit Avenue for the collection of delinquent city liens placed against the property. Item 148, initiate foreclosure action at 6214 North Kirby Ave for the collection of delinquent city liens placed against the property. Item 149, initiate foreclosure action at 3735 Southeast Martin Street for the collection of delinquent city liens placed against the property.
Thank you. This is the second reading of ordinances council heard last week to begin foreclosure proceedings against 6 properties with delinquent city liens that are eligible for foreclosure in accordance with City Code 5.30. As a reminder, the liens were placed against the properties by the Bureau of Development Services for code enforcement violations, various nuisances, nuisance abatement, and/or chronic offender violations. These properties have been identified as causing significant problems for neighbors and are the subject of multiple and frequent police calls and numerous enforcement activities. Colleagues, is there any further discussion on these items?
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Maps.
yeah, let me jump in here. I appreciate our conversation from, I think it was last week when we talked about these spaces. And I also heard and agree with the mayor's admonitions that it should be hard to foreclose on properties like these. You never want the government to be able to come and seize people's stuff. At the same time, it's my understanding that it's going to take about a year or so for these homes to work through their process and land in hands that'll actually be able to maintain these properties. And it's not clear to me that we have a robust plan for maintaining these properties in the interim. I don't have a solution for that today. I think we all know that we are likely to hear about these properties in the interim. I just want to express my willingness to work with my colleagues, probably Commissioner Rubio in particular, and figuring out how we can make sure that these properties stay clean and safe until they're in their final homes. I suspect this is a larger conversation, which frankly is not going to, we're not going to find a fix to in this calendar year. So for those of you who might be on council in the future, this is a problem which you will be grappling with. And I wish you luck as you try to figure it out. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor. I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Commissioner Rubio.
I'd love to respond, and I just want to take you up on your offer. It's something we are very concerned about as well. So would love to work with you on ideas that we can have a conversation with council about in the future. I completely agree. We need to be thinking about what happens in the meantime as the clock is ticking on these foreclosures. Thanks all.
Very good. Anything else? Commissioner Ryan?
Well, I just concur. I actually said all that last year this time. So
Yeah.
I really hope that we take action. The 1 year is too long.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of maintenance work and a lot of follow-up work as we wait for that to happen. So
Great, thank you. Rebecca, can you please call the roll on each of these items individually
Starting
with 144?
with 144, Rubio.
I'll just make my comments on this one and then proceed with the rest. I want to thank all the multi-bureau coordination that has occurred to move this forward. These properties represent a public safety risk to both neighbors and our first responders who are called in to handle calls to deal with trespassers, structure failure, and fire incidents. And while the process is tedious, this is an essential tool to help these distressed properties, and I look forward to figuring out how we can ensure that safety continue in the meantime. I vote aye.
Ryan.
yeah, first of all, I'd like to recognize the hard work of staff, Kevin Foster and Sharon Nickelberry Rogers and Bridget O'Callahan in OMF for getting this process up and running. Your reports were very thoughtful and easy to follow. I appreciate your work. I'll repeat my concerns from last week and a little bit of the pre-dialogue we had, because the 12-month redemption period, it can take a long time for anything to happen, even when these properties are foreclosed upon. When we look at some of these properties, they've been a nuisance for years, with many attracting squatters, disruptive activity while they sit vacant. I'm particularly concerned about the property listed later on 147. We received written comments from neighbors reporting fires, break-ins, RV campers, sewage, drug users, drug sales. It's a pretty active site, and it's been causing trauma for the neighbors for some time. These neighbors are pleading with the city for help because everyone else has failed them. We can't make them wait another year for change. I want to urge us to come up with a plan, and thank you, Commissioner Rubio, for that willingness. And I'm looking forward to this council working on this, because the 12 months property is sitting empty is just, sometimes we're just watching the clock drain out, and there's no need in many of these cases. We need to make sure we're not forgetting about the importance of customer service to the neighbors near these properties. And it's the last step before we can wash our hands of it, but it's an important step. And we must figure out a way to help these neighbors through it by bringing some extra attention to these situations. I just drove by the property that we did last year in North Killingsworth this morning. It looks a little bit better, but it's kind of like, why does it still look like that? And so it's no wonder we continue to receive numerous concerns about that property. Anyway, with hope that we'll continue to work out the practice of this with a little bit better customer service, I vote aye.
Gonzalez,
I vote aye.
Maps,
Aye.
Wheeler.
I appreciate my colleagues taking the initiative here to try and figure out a solution for while we manage these properties until they're appropriately disposed of. I vote aye, and the ordinance is adopted. 148. I'm sorry,
Item
145.
145.
Yeah, thank you.
Rubio,
Aye.
Ryan,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Maps,
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye. The ordinance is adopted. 146.
Rubio,
Aye.
Ryan,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Maps,
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye. Ordinance is adopted. 147.
Rubio,
Aye.
Ryan,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Maps,
Aye.
Wheeler.
The ordinance is adopted. 148, please.
Rubio,
Aye.
Ryan,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Maps,
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye. The ordinance is adopted. And last but not least, 149.
Rubio,
Aye.
Ryan,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Maps,
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye. The ordinance is adopted. Item number 150, an emergency ordinance.
Amend graffiti nuisance property code to allow enforcement through the Code Hearings Office as set out in Code Title 22.
I want to start by thanking Commissioner Rubio and her very able staff for bringing this necessary code change before City Council today. As Portlanders are keenly aware, graffiti in our city on private and public property has exponentially increased over the last few years. This program offers generous services to private property owners with the understanding that they must work closely with the city to meet city code requirements. There are instances where that essential partnership fails to live up to our common standards and requirements. This code change offers staff a streamlined process to address those properties that are a nuisance because of graffiti. It's a fair and consistent approach to an evolving challenge facing not only the city of Portland, but other cities around the country. I'd also like to thank the Public Environment Management Office, referred to as PEMO. Their mission to address our problems with a sense of emergency has helped identify these inefficiencies in our code. This team has been an ally to the graffiti abatement team and a catalyst in helping this program become as efficient and effective as possible. Thank you to PEMO for bringing their hard work and partnership, bringing forward this vital code change. And I want to thank in particular Dakota Thompson from my office for his leadership and his guidance as well. Thank you, Dakota. With that, I'll pass it over to Commissioner Rubio to introduce today's presenters. Commissioner Rubio.
Thank you, Mayor. Colleagues, today I'm bringing to you a minor amendment to our graffiti code that would give us additional tools to pursue enforcement in an effort to reduce graffiti across the city. As we know well, graffiti on private property continues to be a problem throughout our city. And in order to address this issue, the city's graffiti abatement program, housed within the Bureau of Planning and Sustainability, works closely with community organizations, business groups, neighborhood associations, individual businesses, and community members to address graffiti complaints. Since BPS took over the program in 2022, over 500,000 square feet of graffiti have been removed. Some property owners, particularly those that own vacant buildings, are not meeting the city code requirement to remove graffiti from their properties within 10 days, even after multiple warning letters from the city. Currently, the only enforcement procedure within the current graffiti code requires the city to get an administrative warrant, hire and pay a contractor to paint over the graffiti, then place a lien on the property to recoup the costs with an additional administrative fee.
This process requires significant financial and staff time investment, and there's no guarantee that the city will be able to recoup their costs. This is why we are proposing a code change in the graffiti code 14B.80.040. This change will include language allowing enforcement of the requirements by instituting an action before the hearings code officer as set out in Title 22 of City Code. This will provide a more streamlined, efficient process and gives us another option to encourage property owners to meet their responsibility to remove graffiti from their property. This new code authority will be employed with the most egregious violations of the city graffiti code, where property owners are not engaged in maintaining the property. As a result of this proposed change, we anticipate the community will benefit through reduced levels of graffiti on private properties, resulting in enhanced livability and improved economic development. I will now turn it over to Aben Polk and Matt Olguin from BPS to give a short presentation on this ordinance.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate it. Good morning, Mayor and Commissioners. Good to be here. My name is Eben Polk. I'm the BPS Solid Waste and Recycling Manager. With me is Matt Olguin.
Yes, good morning. I'm Matt Olguin. I use he, him pronouns, and I am the Graffiti Abatement Manager.
Also in the audience with us is Tony Garcia, Chief Deputy City Attorney, who's been our advisor on this and is available if there are any legal questions this morning. All right, I see our slides are up. Thank you very much. Here's a brief overview of what we'll be covering today. The top line summary is that the amendment we're introducing today is intended to provide another enforcement option in situations where the property owner is non-responsive. In essence, what is proposed is to take language that authorizes use of a code hearing process, which is found in numerous places throughout the city code, and extend it to the graffiti code. We believe this will help respond to the feedback we receive across the community to address graffiti. First, we'll review the graffiti abatement program as it is functioning today. Then we'll describe the proposed amendment to the graffiti code. We'll summarize the rationale for the proposed change, how enforcement would work under the proposed change, and when staff would use the hearing process, and then recap the benefits and rationale. Next slide, please. This is what the graffiti abatement program does today in summary. We are just one we're an important, but just one part of the citywide efforts to address graffiti. Our program manages the reporting portal where graffiti reports from all types of properties can be submitted. This is essentially a clearinghouse, a database, and a feedback tool for graffiti reports citywide. In fact, if you've played around with the online reporting tool, you'll see it allows a community member to identify the location and share a photo of graffiti, and then they actually hear back from us when it's resolved, if it's resolved by a city contractor. We also dispatch these the service requests to the appropriate property owner for resolution. For example, that could be a commercial or residential property owner. It could be parks, PBOT, TriMet, ODOT, railroads, etc. If the graffiti reported is at a small business, nonprofit, or home, our program assists the property owner with removal or abatement of the graffiti. We dispatch our graffiti removal contractors to remove, paid for by the city, specifically for nonprofits under 100 employees, businesses with less than 10 employees, or for residential properties. The city takes care of that. We also provide free and discounted paint and removal supplies to volunteers. And finally, we coordinate and share any identifying information with Portland Police and provide assistance if they are building a graffiti case. Next slide, please. Here are a few of the highlights by the numbers since the program moved to BPS in September 2022. Since that time, we've been working hard to formalize the program, improve our procedures, and assist as many property owners as possible. So a quick snapshot. We have abated over 500,000 square feet of graffiti on over 11,000 requests. I just want to acknowledge that the memo we provided to chiefs of staff earlier this week cited the number of 300,000 square feet. And so we're just acknowledging that here we're citing a higher number because this number also includes 200,000 square feet of proactive graffiti removal paid for through our program by our contractors, in addition to the 300,000 of removal done in response to graffiti reports that we've received. As mentioned, we We coordinate closely with other bureaus, and so we've referred over 1,700 service requests to PBOT, Parks, and ODOT, among others. If the graffiti reported is on private property, we mail out an abatement letter notifying the property owner of their responsibility to remove graffiti, and we've sent over 800 graffiti abatement letters. Finally, we've given out over 167 graffiti removal kits and vouchers for up to 325 gallons of Metro paint to help community members that want to work on this directly. To explain the code amendment further, I'd like to turn it over to Matt Olguin, our graffiti abatement manager.
Kevin, can I ask a question while on this slide?
Yes, sir.
The 214 graffiti service requests referred by ODOT, they cover all of the freeways. Is that like the area that you would target that they're responsible for?
Correct. Any graffiti report that happens to be on ODOT property would be within that number.
And that's what you hear so many complaints about, is how much graffiti we have on ODOT properties. So I'm just noting at this moment how low the number of service requests were referred to ODOT. Sometimes the data helps explain stories that you see with your eyes. Perhaps it's a hunch. Did you want to add something?
Well, I think just the one thing I would add, as somebody who pays a lot of attention and goes through the reporting portal a lot, is that people complain about ODOT property a lot, but they're thankfully not taking photos of it as they're driving down the freeway or the highway.
That'd be dangerous, you know.
Next slide, please.
So it's on people to tell ODOT to do it? ODOT doesn't see it themselves? You just made me ask that question, sorry.
But we're just sharing some numbers from our graffiti reporting portal, which is a city website
All right,
that
I
anyone
can't help
can use.
myself. Move on, sorry.
Yeah. Thanks, Commissioner.
If I may, I don't want to distract the presentation. Graffiti on ODOT property is something which I spend a remarkable amount of time hearing about. And at the end of this presentation, I might want to take some space to explore some of the issues that Commissioner Ryan laid. But I also want to help you guys stay on track. So with that, I'll hand the floor back to you. But I think
Well, now you open the can of worms. One quick question on this. So when you report graffiti, do you have through the portal? Do you have to submit a photo? Because there's different parts of our online interface for citizens that, depending on what you're like. I report a pothole. I don't actually have to take a picture, even though there's sometimes instructions that might imply. But for graffiti, are they required to take a photo to submit?
There is a requirement to have a photo attached to the graffiti report, yes.
Okay. It's just an interesting, the different ways we ask folks to interface through the various portals. We may at some point want to take a step back and just kind of rationalize that. Is it consistent for somewhat similar activities? Anyways, I'll let you go on, but go ahead.
All right, well, thank you. So in order to improve the program, we are here today to make an amendment to the city graffiti code, adding an additional tool to help remove graffiti throughout the city. By adding this language to the code, we will have an additional option for encouraging property owners to engage with the graffiti abatement program and to remove graffiti from their property. Next slide, please. Currently, the graffiti code makes it clear that it is the owner's responsibility to remove graffiti from their property within 10 days of being notified of the graffiti. As part of our process, we send a letter that informs owners of this responsibility and to reach out to us for assistance or to notify us of their plans to abate the graffiti. While most property owners across the city are fulfilling their responsibilities, there are some who do not respond to our letters and do not remove the graffiti from their properties. With existing code, our only option for enforcing this requirement is to go to a judge and get an administrative warrant, which then gives us access to the property. We then pay a contractor to abate the graffiti, and then we charge the owner that cost plus a 25% administrative fee, and then ultimately place a lien on the property. This enforcement process does not currently make sense to utilize, as it involves a substantial financial investment upfront from the city without knowing when or whether the funds will be repaid. And it takes funds out of the graffiti program that would have otherwise went to assisting small businesses, nonprofits, and residential property owners. Next slide, please. So The enforcement language to access the code hearings office is used in many areas of the city code, but is not currently present in the graffiti code. This will provide an additional opportunity for property owners to work with us to resolve the graffiti issue prior to a code hearing. Property owners are less likely to ignore the code hearings office, and this will encourage graffiti removal by property owners without impacting the program's budget, which, as mentioned, would reduce our cleaning of other properties throughout the city. Next slide, please. So the new code authority will be employed with the most egregious violations of the city's graffiti code, where property owners are not engaged in maintaining their property. This process will only begin when all other avenues have been exhausted, including multiple letters sent and attempted contacts. Property owners will have many opportunities to engage with the graffiti program and resolve the situation prior to beginning an action with the code hearings office. Next slide, please. So the code hearings office has a proven, impartial, and formal set of procedures to adjudicate cases. Even once a date is set for a hearing, property owners have the opportunity to engage with the graffiti abatement program and to abate the graffiti prior to the hearing date. Next slide, please. As mentioned earlier, only the most egregious property issues where the property owner is either not communicative or unwilling to partner with the graffiti program to address the graffiti will this process be engaged. The graffiti abatement manager will consider reports submitted by the public and program staff, the visibility and impact of the graffiti, and the response of the property owner. Next slide. So in summation, the ultimate goal of this change is to enhance the livability of neighborhoods and business districts across the city and ensure all property owners are aware of their responsibilities as well as the resources that are available. This additional tool will help us meet our goals while not reducing the resources available to assist small businesses and others that need the help. Utilizing the code hearings office ensures an impartial entity will adjudicate each case brought to them. This responds to the frequent community feedback requesting assistance with unresponsive property owners. And again, ultimately, to keep our city clean, it really requires that all of us, we do our part and we work together and we help clean up Portland. Next slide. And so with that, we'd like to ask if there are any questions, and then clearly we have our contact info if there's questions that we can answer at a later date.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Commissioner Maps.
Thanks for the presentation, and I want to thank Commissioner Rubio and her team for bringing forward this proposal to address an important and growing problem here in Portland. I don't understand how the program that you're proposing solves your financial problem. So you have non-compliant business or building owners who've allowed their building to be neglected. And, you can go in and place a lien on their property and paint over the building, but you never know how that's going to work out over time, and that can be a years-long process. How does what we're doing here, kind of by definition, the pot of folks that we're looking at are people who ignore their mail and are not investing in a property, which probably is troubled for many reasons. How do you solve the financial problem here again?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner, for that question.
Sure.
Appreciate it. So our goal with this amendment is not necessarily to specifically solve a financial problem, but maybe to avoid a pending financial problem, in that to enforce the graffiti code today using our existing pathway could result in an outlay of some pretty significant resources from our relatively small funding pot, and we would prefer to be able to direct those resources to providing direct assistance, proactive assistance to small businesses and other property owners in the community. So really what we're looking at is the possibility that enforcement would limit the resources we could deploy in assistance in the city, and kind of put us in a position where we were deploying those resources for a relatively small number of properties, paying for very expensive remediation without much knowledge about without a lot of confidence about whether we'd see those funds back. Does that answer your question, sir?
I guess I'm still not quite getting, how do incentives change? Here, we got a guy in a great suit here who's going to smart.
Good morning, Tony Garcia. I use he, him pronouns with the City Attorney's Office, Mayor, members of council. I just want to clarify that what we're doing today is providing for a different avenue by which we can go to the hearings officer and institute a case. So we wouldn't go in and clean up the property. What we could do is go in and order the hearings, have the hearings officer order the property owner to come into compliance. The big difference with doing it this way is it will open up a civil penalty provision by which we can ask the hearings officer to penalize the property owner under its existing authority under Title 22 for not being in compliance. We've used that in other areas of law, including like short-term rental violators who don't have permits, and it's a much higher authority that the hearings officer has.
Okay, I think that answers my question. Thank you.
Commissioner Ryan.
Sure. Wow, we're going to talk about graffiti. You're brave, Commissioner Rubio. We've been, we all get so many emails and messages about this. You can't go out in town without having someone bend your ear about graffiti. So I realize there's a bigger systemic conversation about this. And I don't think this gets at that as much as it gets to a detailed part of it. But I often think about this, who doesn't, that's on this council. And I think I'll just give you my opinion. I think there's actually beautiful graffiti that's done by artists that seem to fly here because we provide such an easy, accessible canvas. And I sometimes almost do get in a wreck trying to figure out how they get up there and not, it seems dangerous, but they do it and it's like pretty amazing. Again, personal opinion. Then there's like really, really ugly graffiti that just no one wants to look at. Again, my personal opinion. So I always think, how can we engage the graffiti artist to be part of the solution? How can they be, so systemic wise, I don't think we're getting to the problem or the solution to the problem. I do think we have to have a bigger conversation about engaging graffiti artists to be, maybe have certain parts of the city, maybe there's 20 graffiti zones and they run that certain section or whatever. And then there's a place, a canvas where beautiful art can appear. And then the rest, not so much. And then they would be part of the enforcement, if you will. Okay, that's the vision. That's what I think we could figure out how to get there someday. So now let me dig into what I think is more the micro changes that we're looking at. What I need to hear is what kind of service we're providing. There's a lot of small businesses that I know. They just tell me they're just burnt out. They're just exhausted from cleaning up the graffiti endlessly. And they also complain they don't get a lot of service and help from the city, and it feels like it's all on them. So I am speaking for some that I've met that have told me that. And so I'm trying to get at the heart of the matter on how this will make their life better. Because I think some have become resistant to even engaging with us anymore because they're just exhausted from the constant graffiti that they don't feel like they egg it on. It's just they happen to have a business on 15th and Broadway, and people seem to love to do graffiti on their business. So they haven't replaced their windows. They haven't done their graffiti for a while because, again, it's hard on them with their profit margins. I did hear that if the business is smaller, it's a different penalty. So I'm just trying to get to the bottom line on how this will make that small business feel seen and not feel like there's just more regulation coming at them.
Mm-hmm. Commissioner, I think we would emphasize that the overwhelming majority of the resources deployed through the graffiti abatement program are to provide assistance to small businesses and residents and nonprofits. And so in the situation you cited, or in the example you cited, we would look to provide those resources. This code provision is really about bringing property owners that are essentially absentee or not really engaged in the community and wanting to solve the problem, to bring them to the table to work with the city.
I think that's noble, and I hope to see that action take place. Just know we have a mindset from some that would really respond if in fact they feel seen and they feel like the city's customer service is working with them. It's kind of similar to the broken windows they're constantly replacing, and they can't even get insurance to cover it anymore. Hi, Tony.
Good morning. I think the other item is that With these changes, it will allow us to get quicker action. So we'll get before the hearings office rather quickly. So it's a quicker resolution. And I think the studies out there show that the existence of graffiti encourages more graffiti. So the quicker we can resolve it, the easier it theoretically should be for all business owners and property owners.
Commissioner, did that complete your questions, Dan? Oh, yeah. Commissioner Gonzalez.
And so just to clarify on, I guess this is on Commissioner Mapp's inquiry, so fines would be paid, once fines are paid, where do those dollars go?
I believe those funds go to the general fund.
Okay, so it wouldn't necessarily go back into the abatement program per se. We'd have to go through the budget process to make that happen.
I was only involved in one particular case with a short-term rental where ultimately the city was requested a $40,000 fine, somewhere around that. We ultimately resolved the case for around $80,000, and I believe that was worked out through OMF and BDS. I'm not quite sure where.
That would be, I'd be curious. It would be kind of nice, maybe we can talk about how to self-fund this to a certain extent. We would need to think about what incentives that creates and think that through, but I'd be open to the discussion that maybe we can self-finance the program with benefits of those penalties. Again, that's part of a broader conversation probably, but I'd be open to that. Second, what would the appeal process look like? So it goes to hearings, and then what would, if someone appeals it, where does it go from there?
So let me talk about the current processing code. The current processing code is that we would identify a property that's not in compliance, and then they could appeal to the hearings office.
Okay.
And then from there, they could then appeal to circuit court.
Okay.
That all takes quite a bit of time. The process we are requesting here with the code changes before council today is where we would initiate a case. The hearings office typically will place it on their calendar in about 21 days, is my understanding. So we would have 21 days. We would have a hearing as to whether the person is in compliance or not. And at that point, the hearings officer would render a decision. That can sometimes take a couple of weeks, but it could not only issue a penalty, but then it would provide us an order that we could go to circuit court and ask a circuit court judge to enforce the terms of. So it's a quicker process. And I think one of the goals of what we're trying to achieve here is once there's a significant financial penalty on the line, I think property owners will come into compliance more. It may not be all of them, but we will see more of them once they realize it's not some meaningless, or I shouldn't say meaningless, some low-level fine once we go to the hearings officer and request something that will trigger them to actually perform the work and respond to the city.
Got it. And one of the interesting dynamics in the space, we see this in the fire bureau. Sometimes a building has graffiti or some other vandalism or just unsafe conditions that also overlap with fire concerns. And typically, we're really talking derelict properties. It's not just one part of the city code they're violating at some point, it's multiple. And I guess in your mind, would those be handled as separate matters, or is there a way to consolidate that? If we have a property that's got, fire violations and graffiti, is there a way to consolidate that, or do we kind of have to process each of those individually?
We currently do, and I think we have traditionally in the past partnered with both the Fire Bureau and the Bureau of Development Services. I think my colleagues could talk more, but I think BDS or fire will usually take the lead when there are multiple sections of code being violated. I don't know if you have more to add.
I think the code amendment gives us the ability to act independently when we need to, but also to collaborate with other bureaus when it makes sense to align the timing or the pathway for enforcement. We would commit to doing that.
And I've heard it's often worked well. I just wanted to make sure as we were adjusting that we were thinking that part through, because it's often multiple issues with a single property. Two last areas of questions. When we think about folks that may be exposed to some real financial hardship associated with, responding to graffiti on their property, I think Commissioner Ryan kind of got this with small business owners. We also have homeowners and individuals that may be responsible for a property, limited financial resources to deal with it. I just talk through sort of some of the protections there, because it's a challenging balance here, right? Citizenry is demanding that we respond to graffiti really legitimately. It is really deteriorating the feel for our city, but we may run into some individuals that just don't have an easy path to to pay for the abatement in a given situation. So just curious about the protections and support we're giving them.
Certainly. So there are a few different avenues of support we can offer. So obviously, if it's somebody who falls within that category of a small business, nonprofits, or residential homeowner, all we need is a signed waiver form. And also, if that person submits the ticket themselves, the property owner does, they can electronically fill out the waiver form, at which point we are then able to dispatch one of our contractors to paint over or power wash the graffiti depending on the surface that the graffiti's on. So we offer that free service. We also emphasize the graffiti abatement kits and the Metro paint vouchers that we're able to offer. So especially if a small business gets small tags from time to time and we can get them paint for free that they could then go out and just quickly paint over graffiti, that's great. And then what'll happen is sometimes that small business will then reach out and say, hey, we got a big tag over the weekend, and then we can send out our contractors to assist that. And especially for residential properties, oftentimes if somebody has a wood fence going right along a major thoroughfare, like those fences tend to get hit, and we're quick to dispatch out to our contractors where they can go paint over the fence or power wash it if it's been stained. So we don't want to paint over something that's not painted.
So in those scenarios, the city's covering that cost, or at what point is it the resident that would be responsible for it?
So if they qualify for the program at this point in time, we are paying for those costs through the program.
Great, that's great. One last area, just sort of put it on the record. So we're talking a lot about the civil side of graffiti. Just want to clarify what little role the city has on the criminal side of this, right? We have repeat taggers. Just walk us through, is there any sort of mechanism to refer it over to the DA, to the police? What's the criminal side look like, and what is the city's role there, if any?
I can say I know that we do meet with the district attorney and work with the Portland Police Bureau on those matters. I'm probably not the best person to answer the questions on how that takes place, but I do know those conversations are ongoing. I think Christine Leon is also in the audience. She might be able to speak to that.
I mean, I think what I can add from the graffiti abatement program is that anytime we get reports of graffiti that include either video footage or photographs of people doing graffiti, which if a business has outdoor cameras, like they'll sometimes have that footage, there are a group of NERT officers that we work with and we pass that information on to them. And then conversely, when they have identified a tagger, they will reach out to us to see what instances of that tag we have in our reporting system, and to also assist them with contacting the owner of that property so they can work to build the case, and also look to see if there are instances where the city may have paid to paint over that graffiti, at which point we can provide them a cost breakdown and assist with building that case.
Yeah, and I'm almost done, I promise, but it brings up two other things. So I think that there's broad frustration in the community about repeat taggers and the perception that they're not facing repercussions for their behavior. And I just want to put on the record, unfortunately, under our current setup, without our own municipal court, we are dependent on municipal courts for those people to be prosecuted. We're dependent on the DA for those people to be prosecuted as a city. I wonder, when we look over a long arc, if that's the right answer for the city to continue to defer to the circuit courts and to the DA to make progress here. They got a lot on their plate, so that's more of an editorial. One last question: are we doing anything with artificial intelligence to track repeat taggers, to discern patterns and try to sort of map to identify those guys who are doing it over and over again?
Not to my knowledge.
I think there are some programs in other cities that are trying to apply artificial intelligence in that area. So it might be something we look at. You can discern patterns in the art, and it may help us prosecute folks down the road. But thank you.
Commissioner Abs.
I want to thank Commissioner Rubio for bringing this item forward. I really appreciate the presentation from staff too. As you can tell, graffiti is a rich topic here, and I've been trying very hard to kind of stay on the topic of the ordinance before us today. But I think we maybe have plumb the ordinance, I do want to use the little bit of time before we vote on this to do a couple of things a little bit off topic. Can you remind us, if you're a small business owner who is continually plagued by graffiti and would like to tap into the graffiti program, who do you call? What website would you go to?
Yes, if you just Google graffiti abatement City of Portland, it'll bring you to the City of Portland web portal page where you can type in the address, it walks you through the form, and then it gets submitted directly to us.
Great, and just to set expectations appropriately, this is probably, if you're a big business like Boeing, this is probably not the program for you, but if you own a small convenience store on the corner of 20th and Stark and you get tagged probably every other day, this might be a good place to seek help.
Correct.
Great. I appreciate that. I hope we hear about graffiti on this council all the time, especially from small businesses. I hope that you reach out to the graffiti program. They really are here to help and do great work. I used to work with these folks a bit back when graffiti was over in civic life, and it's great to see how this program has evolved. I think the wide-ranging conversation, pivoting now to a new topic, the wide-ranging conversation this council has had about this ordinance and graffiti in general, I think is clearly a sign that there's more policy work to be done in graffiti. And again, I think there's some of this that we can actually make progress on in the short run. In my experience of the graffiti issue, there's graffiti on private property, and you folks are doing great work on that. There's graffiti on public property, and frankly, if it's on city property, I think it's pretty clear how we deal with that. And then there's this grayer space of what do we do with graffiti on ODOT property too. I sure hope that before we get to the end of this calendar year, we have some policy level discussions about how we can just do better with graffiti on public property. I think there's some low-hanging fruit here, but there is some policy work that needs to get done. Thank you. With that, Mr. Mayor, I'll turn the floor back to you. Our Commissioner
It goes
Rubio.
right back to the presentation. Are you completed?
We are done.
Very good. Any further questions? Public testimony?
Yes, we have 2 people signed up.
Excellent.
First is Jesse Presley Grusin.
Welcome.
Jesse Presley Grusin.
Don't see anybody. Okay. Next person.
Jared Essig.
Jared, thank you for being here.
Wheeler and distinguished commissioners, citizens of Portland, graffiti abatement team. I'm one of your volunteer citizen volunteers, actually. I'm also one of the repeat taggers, and I'm sure I might be in your NERT database somewhere. And so I'm going to give you some natural intelligence to follow this problem and get to Commissioner Ryan's very, very intelligent attempt to refocus the graffiti abatement team on the actual matter at issue here, which is why are the taggers tagging all of these empty canvases? And we have to consider in this code change, what is the subject matter of the graffiti that is being painted, and what is the nature of the criminal mischief that is being alleged? And this lack of clarity in the code also exists in the state statute books. So you're going to need to lobby the state if you continue to defer to the district attorney to deal with this municipal code violation. And Mr. Gonzalez has given also sort of a more advanced analysis of this problem that the abatement team's going to need to take into account. And municipal court might be a better place to deal with these type of things. I would much rather deal with a municipal court personally. In fact, I have a claim against the district attorney, against the public defender's office, and against the whole county behavioral health system, and against Judge Waller for imposing a public defender upon me and trying to force me into, county services and housing and forced medication, because they don't believe in affirmative defense exists on free speech grounds for volunteer abatement of graffiti and for mural art as a prophylactic against antisocial graffiti. Now, you have to make the distinction between a pro-social message, like Black Lives Matter, and an anti-social message, like all cops are bastards. And I hate to say it, because butt rape is a crime, and all rape is a crime, in fact, and to incite it is a crime, and this has to be abated. So for me to say, don't fornicate with the pigs, is a necessary abatement of a anti-social message that is being maintained by a non-compliant building owner, namely the city itself, on city-owned buildings, okay? And it also corrects a mass psychogenic illness that is created by this incitement to violence and obscenity. So now, if you want to look at my manifesto, it's on bastardslivesmatter.org, and you can see that. And I'm sure some of my stuff is in your system and maybe in the city records office, because I've been protecting the city hall against this antisocial graffiti. The head of security tolerated me to do it as long as I did it on the boarding and not on the walls. I noticed that every time I did it on the Justice Center, I would paint "Do Justice, Make Peace." I did that as a prophylactic in broad daylight with wearing normal clothes.
Thank you.
And I was arrested for that, prosecuted, and tried to, impose medication on me for an alleged mental illness. And now I have a case of legal malpractice and medical malpractice against the whole county and city.
Thank you for your perspective. Is there further public testimony on this item?
That completes
This is the
testimony.
emergency ordinance. Please call the roll.
Rubio.
I want to thank Eben, Matt, and Tony for all your outstanding work on this. And I also want to acknowledge that in the short time, it's been a short time since this program has moved to BPS, and this program has significantly scaled and expanded its impact and effectiveness than in years prior. And this is just one common sense, effective step that we're able to do immediately. And I appreciate my colleagues' interest in having the program potentially explore more ideas. And I want to remind us that this is precisely why we need to do everything we can to keep this program financially intact and whole as possible, and ideally with more capacity to do more things. So I look forward to those conversations. I'm also very excited to see this moving forward with the new tools to help clean up our community and use our resources as efficiently as possible. This team heard the outcry from community and brought us together, or brought another way, another tool to get the most negligent private property owners who refuse to remove graffiti from their properties. So I'm really hopeful that we will see the impact of this small change over time. I'm thrilled to support this change, and I vote aye.
Ryan.
Thank you for bringing this forward, Commissioner Rubio. I think what I really liked was actually our dialogue we had on it, big picture wise. I don't think this gets at the holistic, which I mentioned earlier, systemic issue of this. And I think we need a more adaptive, creative solution going forward. I do appreciate the work done by staff, and the presentation was very helpful, and I think it's a good incremental step. I look forward to hearing how those services land with those that are seeking them. And for this specific step in the process, I vote aye.
Gonzalez.
I vote aye.
Maps.
Want to thank Commissioner Rubio for bringing this item forward. Also want to congratulate the graffiti program for some innovative work in this space. Our conversation illustrates the need for additional innovation in this space, and I look forward to having those conversations with my colleagues on council. In the meantime, I vote aye.
Wheeler.
Very happy to support this. I vote aye, and the ordinance is adopted. Item number 151, please. This is an emergency ordinance.
Accept a grant in the amount of $387,068 from Oregon Department of Transportation. Authorize intergovernmental agreement for a paved pathway and crossing improvements between Northeast 106th Avenue and Northeast San Rafael Street.
Commissioner Maps.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Colleagues, this item comes to us from PBOT. By passing this ordinance, the city will accept a grant from the Oregon Department of Transportation for about $387,000. These funds will be used for the construction of a paved pathway from Northeast 106th Avenue to Northeast San Rafael Street. These funds will be used to pay for items such as improving crossing improvements, improved lighting, and a new sidewalk connection. This project will improve neighborhood access to schools, parks, and transit stops, in addition to improving access to businesses in the Gateway District. The total expected cost of this project is $552,000, $555,000 roughly, with 700,000 or 70% being covered by this ODOT grant, and a 30% match is required. Here to tell us more about this ordinance, we have Abra McNair, a project manager with PBOT. Welcome, Abra.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Mayor and Commissioners. Thanks for having me. My name is Abra McNair, and Project Manager with Capital Delivery Division at PBOT, and I use she, her pronouns. Yes, so just thanks, Commissioner Maps, for the intro. Here today to seek Council's approval of a $387,068 grant from the Oregon Community Paths Program for the Northeast 106th Avenue Pathway. The local match of $165,887 comes from a one-time general fund allocation to the Safe Routes to School program for ongoing safety infrastructure improvements in East Portland. And this is an Oregon Department of Transportation grant. Next slide, please. Just a little bit about the project. We're planning to pave a multi-use path and build a sidewalk ramp connection between Northeast 106th Avenue and San Rafael Street in the Park Rose Heights neighborhood. We looking to add pedestrian scale lighting and to minimize tree impacts. You'll see in the picture on the right that this small parcel of land is home to some beautiful and established Doug firs that we want to maintain for the neighborhood. Our intent with this application was to provide a more accessible and essentially less muddy walking, biking, and rolling path on a Safe Routes to School primary investment route. We also wanted to take the opportunity to complete an unfunded section of the 100s Neighborhood Greenway that cuts through East Portland. Next slide, please. As Commissioner Maps was saying, the 106th Avenue pathway is a small but important link in the 100s Greenway and Safe Routes primary to school primary investment route network. It's shown on the map, which is a little busy, but shown on the map in that yellow circled area. It would be a new paved connection to schools and city parks, max lines at the Gateway Transit Center and bus stops, and it's a direct connection to the signalized crossing that's shown there with a little pedestrian symbol at 106th Avenue on Halsey and Weidler that connects directly to Gateway Discovery Park and the Gateway Business District. Next slide, please. This grant application is an example of PBOT following through on our commitments. This path was originally included in the federally funded East Portland Access to Employment and Education project that stemmed from the 2012 East Portland in Motion strategy. The path improvement was removed from those plans when a neighboring property submitted a permit for development. That permit hasn't had any activity since 2019. Together with a letter of support from the Park Rose School District, the Safe Routes to School program applied to the Oregon Community Paths Grant Program last year and has been awarded the funding to move forward. Next and final slide, please. Should council approve this funding, our next steps would include ongoing neighborhood outreach and communications with Parkview Christian Retirement Community, which was the permit holder or continues to have that permit, project neighbors, the Park Rose School District, and connecting with the East Portland Action Plan Group. Continue coordinating with bureau partners and especially with urban forestry to make sure that we are honoring those trees and doing the best to minimize impact and keep a small footprint through this area. And should everything move forward, our project design would begin later this year and with an expected completion in the year 2026. Thanks so much. That's all I have.
Colleagues, any questions? Do we have public testimony?
Like Commissioner Ryan might have a question.
Commissioner Ryan,
Oh, I
do
just
you have a
wanted to,
question?
hi, a great presentation. I didn't hear about Sacramento Elementary School specifically. That's the one that's in the
Yes.
middle of the route. Have you been reaching out and working with that school specifically, not just Parkville School District?
We've connected with the principal, like the Safe Routes to School program has a pretty strong connection with the school district in general. And we have spoken more with the transportation staff, but the principal at Sacramento is aware of the project, yeah.
I just encourage you to directly reach out to the elementary school itself.
Sure.
My experience with school districts is it doesn't really impact the community until you connect with that specific school.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks.
All right, good. Please call the roll, Rebecca.
Rubio,
I vote aye.
Ryan,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Maps,
This is a great project. I want to thank staff for their presentation today. I vote aye.
Wheeler.
Aye. The ordinance is adopted. Item 152.
Accept a grant in the amount of $2,400,000 from the Oregon Department of Transportation, authorize intergovernmental agreement with Northwest Nato Parkway Rail Crossing, and appropriate $50,000 in FY 2023-24 budget.
Commissioner Maps.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Colleagues, this item comes to us from PBOT. By passing this ordinance, the city agrees to accept a federal grant for about $2.4 million for the design and construction of significant safety improvements at a rail crossing on Northwest Nato Parkway at the Steel Bridge. A new marked crossing will be installed across Nato south of the rail crossing, which will allow people walking and biking to safely cross Nato to access Old Town and the waterfront park. This project invests in making a busy urban rail crossing safer for all users, with the added benefit of allowing for a rail quiet zone to be established in the area. That's great news. Frankly, neighbors in that community have been calling for a quiet zone for years and years and years. Really happy that we can move forward on that. Here to tell us more about this ordinance, we have Gabe Graff, a capital project manager at PBOT. Welcome, Gabe.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. I'm happy to present to you today about this project. My name is Gabe Graff, Capital Project Manager at the Portland Bureau of Transportation. Can I get the next slide, please? So I just wanted to give you a little bit of context, although Commissioner Maps gave a nice overview of where this project's located and what it's trying to do. We are here at the yellow dot, so right at the west end of the Steel Bridge. This will be a new crossing of Nato Parkway. It provides a connection to the Northwest Flanders Neighborhood Greenway, to Better Nato Waterfront Park, to the lower deck of the Steel Bridge, and the new proposed skate park on the west end of the Steel Bridge. Next slide. This ordinance is accepting a grant from the Oregon Department of Transportation from their rail safety funds, $2.4 million, and no local match is required, which is great news for PBOT at the moment. Once approved, we'll move forward with final design, and we're hoping to be in construction in 25-26. Next slide. So the initial goal of this project was to provide a crossing across Nato at the Steel Bridge. Many years ago, there was a pedestrian overcrossing, a pedestrian bridge over Nato there that was removed for safety concerns. So this has been a long standing request of the neighborhood to restore pedestrian access across Nato at this location. So that was the goal. In order to get that crossing approved, we need to work with the railroad and ODOT's Rail Safety Board to get additional rail gates installed at the crossing to make it safe and meet standards. So that's also a component of the project, and a additional benefit, as Commissioner Maps noted, of those new rail crossing gates is that will allow for a quiet zone, which means that rail operators will no longer be required to sound their horn as they cross through that location. Next slide. This is an overlay of our design for the improved crossing on a satellite image. You'll see in the bottom of the slide the location of the new marked crossing that'll connect just north of the bowl where the skate park is proposed to be located. And then the new rail crossing infrastructure is just on the top of the image, where we'll consolidate the pedestrian and bicycle crossings and provide safety gates for both of those crossings, just like vehicles have automatic gates today. Next slide. I think that's it. Yeah. Any questions?
Very good. Colleagues, any questions? Public testimony?
There's not.
Commissioner Ryan, did you have a question?
Yeah, just real quick. Great presentation, Gabe. So you've been in contact with the people at Parks on the skateboard park. So
Yes.
it's all flowing together just wonderfully.
Yeah, it'll be a nice new connection for the skate park.
Okay. All right, great.
Anybody else?
When you said safety, you were just talking about the structure itself. Not in this area, we've had a lot of people come talk about safety when it comes to overpasses that don't have to do with the infrastructure of what we built.
I should have been more specific. I think probably at this point, 12, maybe 15 years ago, there was a pedestrian bridge over NATO Parkway that was removed for personal safety concerns. So it's a staircase, a tunnel, and then a staircase that was attracting crime.
It's a structure safety issue.
Personal safety crime.
Oh, and this will make it a better place with.
So that structure that was removed at least 10 years ago. So since then, there's been no safe way to cross NATO from a physical safety, because there was a bridge, there's no bridge, now there's no crossing at all. So people who do cross there just start to cross traffic. That making sense?
It is, but now it's making me want to ask another question.
Go for it.
Oh, yeah, go.
So when I was listening to you, it sounded like there were personal safety issues that had nothing to do with the structure. In other words, when we have this lovely thing built, will there be the same issues that were there before?
So the previous crossing over NATO Parkway was stairs and an elevated bridge, and the new crossing will be an at-grade striped crosswalk. So the visibility and safety, I think, from a personal perspective, will be much improved, as well as from a physical safety standpoint, better than what it is today. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Commissioner Matt?
Yeah, and I appreciate Commissioner Ryan's questions, and at least my understanding of this project is that we do a couple of good things here. Number one, we're kind of doing a smarter job of managing foot, bike, and train traffic in this space. And as a guy who used to work over in the crime prevention program, I understand and share your concerns about personal safety in this neighborhood. And frankly, this one's on my running route. And there are issues there, but I think the sight lines and whatnot, it'll be better. Although will still be work that needs to be done there. But the great thing here is if you're walking, riding your bike through this neighborhood, it's going to be much safer, much easier to navigate. And if you live down here and you're being driven crazy by the trains tooting their horns as they go through, that will actually get resolved too. So we're chipping away at making this more livable, one project at a time.
Very good. Please call the roll.
Rubio.
I'm happy to see PBOT secure this grant and make this crossing much safer for all users. I vote aye.
Ryan.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Maps.
Thank you for your presentation. I'm really excited about this project. This really will improve livability in this space. Really happy to see it move forward. I vote aye.
Wheeler.
Great project. Thank you for the presentation. I vote aye. The ordinance is adopted. 153, please.
Authorize competitive solicitation and contract for fixed camera traffic enforcement system and related services.
Commissioner Maps.
Thank you, colleagues. This item comes to us from PBOT. This ordinance authorizes the city to issue a competitive solicitation and contract for increased fixed camera traffic enforcement. Put plainly, what PBOT is trying to do here is to increase the city's capacity to install and maintain traffic cameras. Now, here's why this ordinance is important. In 2023, 69 people died in fatal crashes on Portland streets. Speeding is one of the main factors leading to fatal crashes. Now, the research in this space is clear. Speed kills. For example, you are likely to survive a car crash at 30 miles an hour or below. However, you are likely to die in a car crash at 45 miles an hour and above. Driving recklessly at high speeds is clearly one of the variables fueling the increase in traffic fatalities here in Portland. Traffic cameras are an effective tool in curbing speeding. For example, where Portland has installed traffic cameras, the city has seen a 93% reduction in top-end speeding. The lesson is clear. Portland needs more traffic cameras, and that's what this ordinance does. Here to tell us more about this ordinance, we have Dana Dickman, an active transportation and safety coordinator with Peabody. Welcome, Dana.
Good morning. I'm Dana Dickman, the Traffic Safety Section Manager with the Bureau of Transportation. As Commissioner Mapp said, this ordinance is really to allow us to start the process of procurement, to allow for additional cameras and a second camera contract that will allow us to look at updated technologies and will allow us to expand beyond the 20 fixed speed cameras that we now have planned under our current contract. We know that it has been a challenge for us to get cameras out in the right of way due to a very complicated right of way. So we're looking to have this competitive process that will allow us to look at new technologies and look at options for just getting the cameras out in the right of way. As Commissioner Mapp said, we have seen an increase in aggressive speeding. 40 of those 69 crashes that were mentioned included excessive speeding. And so we really understand that this is one of the tools that we can use to help curb that type of behavior out on our streets. I don't have anything further. This is the start of a new procurement process. We will come back to council when we have more details, as we've been through, to talk about the contract and the details in the contract.
Questions?
Thank you.
Commissioner Ryan.
Yeah. Hi, Dana. Good presentation. I have a question. I should have thought of it earlier, but what's our compliance rate with the tickets that people are currently receiving for this?
I'm going to kick that one over to Dana. Dana, do you know?
What do you mean by compliance? Like how many
when
people
someone
pay them?
goes through and it's flashing, and so they're guilty as because of this camera, and then you send it to your home, and they're lovely photos to receive in the mail. I've received them, and then do people pay them?
The vast majority of people do pay them. We do have a number of folks that are violating the law that for various reasons we can't cite them. We have a very kind of strict level. We make sure that if there's any confusion, if the photo doesn't quite look right, if we don't quite get the license plate, those are not cited. But we do have good compliance with paying once the full citation has come in. And we do have options for first-time violators to take a class in lieu of the citation. So we are considering equity and other issues with the citations.
What do we do with maybe it's just me, my eye test notices a lot of people don't have registrations. So what do you do with those?
Commissioner, or Dana, do you want to get that?
Details?
Do you mean if like they don't have?
They have license plates that no one can see, or they don't have license plates. They don't seem to be registered.
With automated enforcement, we cannot cite them if we cannot see the license plate.
There's that. So, and we don't know what proportion there is of those that are coming in.
I could find out. I don't know off the top of my head what proportion comes in that we're unable to see the license plate, but we can get that number.
Interesting. And then is there a connection between this camera intelligence and the intelligence that then goes to the police? Since we gutted our traffic divisions, which allowed us to, have some fundamental investigations, if you will, or more information, what's the connection between this and working with the police?
Dana, I'll get that to you.
Okay. Well, the program is actually jointly run by Peabody and the police. Okay. So Peabody really runs the fixed speed portion. The police run the intersection cameras, which are able to do speed violations and red light violations. If a law has been broken, the police can use the video and the images from the cameras. For example, in a fatal crash, they can go back and use those images in an investigation. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it gets at it. Thanks.
Commissioner Maps.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in and fill in some responses to Commissioner Ryan. Specifically, the question on how often do people who are issued tickets actually pay them. We'll get that information for you. I'll also tell you, I don't care that much. The purpose of this program is actually to bring down speeds where we've installed these programs. These cameras, the speeds have come down, especially at the top end, by 93%. Frankly, the funds that are raised for this program are used to maintain this program, so it's not a huge revenue generator in that sense. But our goal here is actually just to get Portlanders driving slower, and these cameras do that. Thank you.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Yeah, no, I mean, completely support. Very appreciative of you bringing this forward. I do think we need to care a little bit about the folks that don't have the plates and that aren't paying when issued a ticket. And maybe this is really a question for the mayor. Stopping people without a license plate. It's an area there's a resource question. How many, do we have sufficient police officers to support a traffic division and to actually proactively be interfacing there? There's also historically, this is an area of concern when we're talking about racial justice concerns, like the stopping people that don't have license plates. Does that disproportionately impact certain communities? And we are getting much more data-driven in our vehicle task force in East Precinct. And I guess it's just a question to the mayor is, what is the current thinking on, outside of the resource question, which is substantial, but do we view stopping people that don't have license plates as problematic currently in our thinking or not problematic? Because it.
Well, look, I am the commissioner in charge, but I'm not the traffic division. And so I'm not going to guess the answer to that question. I will tell you that during COVID, we did not have the traffic division engaged. The traffic division has been repopulated. It's out there. They do cite people. I'm sure if they were here, they would tell you, yes, they absolutely do enforce those laws. But I'm not going to speak for them. I don't know operationally what the current configuration is, but we could certainly find out.
Well, it just gets at this fundamental frustration point that I think a lot of Portlanders are feeling. If you speed and get caught by one of these cameras and you've paid to have current tags and a license plate, you're going to get a speeding ticket. And if you go through that same traffic camera without a license plate, violating a separate law, you're not going to get a speeding ticket. And it carries over into the situations we deal with, illegally parked RVs versus someone who's a law-abiding citizen parking too long in a space. And there's no simple answer here, but it does feel like there's whatever we can do to prevent sort of two sets of laws in the city of Portland, I think is important to regain trust from our citizenry. I just would sort of leave it out. Fully support what you're doing here.
To be clear, we all agree with that, 100%. Commissioner Maps.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I want to thank Commissioner Gonzalez for his comments. I do want to remind everyone that in my budget proposal for PBOT, one of the things I'm recommending is that PBOT, frankly, get into the business of actually issuing tickets when people don't have tags. Will actually be more aggressive about enforcing just having people plug meters. Frankly, if PBOT had all the money in the world, I would still recommend that we do this because frankly, just having clear rules of the roads that people largely comply with actually keeps our roads safer and makes them work more effectively. You raise a good question about what happens when people don't have a license plate at all. I don't I don't know what PBOT does with that. I don't know if that's a PBOT issue or a police issue. But clearly, one of the things I'm trying to do in the PBOT space is to move us towards just greater compliance with very basic rules and frankly courtesies like paying a parking meter, getting your tags, which also implies, going to the DQ and making sure your car isn't excessively polluting. And one of the benefits of that is, your cars are safer, the roads are safer, and frankly, the city's budgets, at least in the PBOT space, are a little bit more balanced. Thank you.
And I'll just say this before we take the vote. I strongly support this program. We should have more traffic cameras in the city of Portland, and living in close proximity to one. Number one, yes, I've taken the class that one can take in lieu of paying the fine. And frankly, I found it useful. I should say that. Everybody shows up and nobody talks to anybody. Nobody makes eye contact and everybody's slightly grumpy. But the truth is, it was actually a really good class and I learned a thing or two. And I appreciate that we have that in lieu program for, I don't know if that was my first offense, but people who don't get offended don't offend that often, I suppose. The second piece is, I drive on the Beaverton Hillsdale Highway fairly frequently, and there's a traffic camera there, and it definitely slows the traffic down. There's no question about it. And that, as I understand it, prior to the camera being there, was a high crash corridor of some significance. So I think more of these is great. As you know, we had to go to Salem and lobby for changes in the rules related to these cameras. They were fairly onerous and complicated and used too much police resource. To some degree, that's still the case, but it's a lot better now than it was a couple of years ago in terms of the regulatory environment. And frankly, I think the public will be supportive. I really appreciate what Commissioner Gonzalez said about equal treatment under law. It is the basic premise of our legal system, of our system of justice, and it is infuriating to people when they feel that the law is not applied equally to everyone. And so I agree with you that the new data we saw about the lack of compliance with registration, the expiration of tags, clearly people willfully ignoring the DEQ requirement. If they're not getting renewal, they're not probably going through DEQ. And for people who are law-abiding citizens, that's really frustrating. And it also erodes confidence in the system of justice that we have. And it may seem like a small thing, a parking ticket or an infraction here or there, but it's the slippery slope to the larger system of justice itself. So I support all of this, and I think it was a good conversation. I'm glad we had it, and it seems like this council is universally supportive of enforcing the law equally here in the city. Any further discussion? Do we have public testimony? I can't remember if I asked. Rebecca?
We do not.
Call the roll.
Rubio.
I want to thank Commissioner Matz for bringing this forward. I'm very supportive of this, this moving forward. Getting these cameras on our streets, especially in high crash corridors, is much needed deterrent to hazardous driving behavior. I'm happy to support getting these cameras up and running. I vote aye.
Ryan.
Yes, thank you for bringing this forward. I'm definitely supportive. It's just, I can't undo what I heard when I watched the public works session last Thursday, that nearly half of all Portland vehicle registrations have expired.
It's even worse than that, depending on the kind of vehicle you're looking at. I think 80% of motorcycles in the Portland metro area don't have tags.
Okay, so I think that's why we just had to have this conversation, because it's a wonderful bandage. There's this bigger systemic issue, and so we had to have dialogue about it, and it does impact our community safety. I vote aye.
Gonzalez.
Fully supportive, and I almost want to double down on this point about tags and license plates. There's the element of folks that just ignore their notifications. There's also a whole segment that is engaged in very serious criminal behavior with stolen vehicles, including license plates removed. So it's painful to know that some people aren't abiding by the law, and there's also, it is directly, our challenges here outside the scope of what you're hitting here is real. and being able to address it. But fully support this. Thank you so much for bringing it forward. I vote aye.
Maps.
I want to thank Dana for the presentation today, and I really want to thank my colleagues on council for the way you dug into this conversation. I'll tell you, one of the interesting experiences I've had over the past week is since I've done my budget work session, specifically about PBOT, where I talked about increased enforcement of things like parking and tags and whatnot. In the interviews I've done with press, I'm getting pushback from members of the press who raise questions about the fairness of actually expecting people to plug their parking meters or go and get their car inspected. Frankly, I'm still a little surprised by that. This is a shift in our culture, which I don't think I would have gotten those questions in 2019, but we are getting them today. One of the things I think we're all trying to do on this council is to move Portland back to normal order, and normal order means things like driving the speed limit, plugging your parking meters, getting your tags and getting your car inspected. I don't think this is a revolutionary thing. It's certainly a necessary thing. And once we all work together, I think our streets are going to be safer and work better, which is why I am glad to vote aye on this item.
Wheeler.
This was a good discussion. A little far afield from some of what you're bringing. I think we all strongly support the core ordinance, but it also raised important issues. We are a nation of laws, not men. And the second thing is, it is worth underscoring, if you play by the rules, you should feel like you're doing it because it's the right thing to do, and you're doing it because it's the best thing to do as part of a civilized society. You shouldn't be made to feel like a chump for playing by the rules. And frankly, that's how a lot of people feel. And we need to back those individuals. We need to be there for them and support them and cheer them on for playing by the rules. And so I'm glad that we're having this larger discussion. We'll probably have it in a couple of different contexts going forward. I vote aye. The ordinance is adopted. And I realize, colleagues, I'm just powering through this stuff without a break, but we're so close to the end. It seemed wise. The next two are emergency ordinances, then we'll go back to the pulled item. First item, please. 154, it is a second reading of a non-emergency ordinance. We've already heard a presentation, had opportunity for public testimony. Any further? Oh, I have to let Rebecca read it. 154, please.
Authorize contract with Prologis LP to fund 30 years of anticipated power and maintenance costs for a new traffic signal at North Schmear Road and North Whitaker Road for $150,000.
Thanks, Rebecca. Any further discussion? Seeing none, call the roll.
Rubio.
Aye.
Ryan.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Maps.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye. Ordinance is adopted. 155, second reading. Any further business? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm jumping on you again.
Authorize contract with Prologis LP to fund 30 years of anticipated power and maintenance costs for a new traffic signal at North Schmear Road and Northeast Vancouver Way, North Vancouver Ave for $150,000.
Any further business on this item? Please call the roll.
Rubio.
Aye.
Ryan.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Maps.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye. The ordinance is adopted. I forgot 156, also a second reading.
Authorize a contract-specific special procurement with Service for the Smart Discount Program not to exceed $350,000.
Any further business? Please call the roll.
Rubio.
Aye.
Ryan.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Maps.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye. The ordinance is adopted. 137, pulled from the consent agenda, please.
Authorize Director of the Bureau of Human Resources to offer employment agreements to interim deputy city administrators.
Colleagues, this ordinance will authorize the Bureau of Human Resources to offer employment agreements to interim deputy city administrators, otherwise known as DCAs, selected by each of the commissioners in charge to lead each of the newly formed service areas. These interim DCA positions will better ensure leadership continuity for service area operations and support collaboration between bureaus as the city approaches the new form of government. I understand that each of our chiefs of staff weighed in on how to structure the agreements to yield high-quality candidates. With that, I'll turn this over to Acting Director for the Bureau of Human Resources, Tracy Warren, to overview the details of the agreement. Welcome, both of you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. For the record, my name is Tracy Warren, and I'm the Acting Human Resources Director. With me today, I have Christina Fadenreck, who is our Senior Policy Advisor.
Welcome.
Thank you. The ordinance in front of you authorizes the Bureau of Human Resources at your direction to enter into employment agreements with interim deputy city administrators. We are requesting an emergency ordinance to ensure we have adequate time to recruit and onboard commissioner-appointed interim deputy city administrators. It is critical to fill these interim positions for the city to implement changes outlined in the updated charter. Until a new city administrator is selected, city staff may need to fill these temporary roles in time of uncertainty without a clear path for them in our city's future structure. With the ability to attract and hire interim positions now, we can ensure leadership continuity for service area operations and support collaboration between the city as it approaches the new form of government. The Bureau of Human Resources has partnered with the City Attorney's Office to prepare agreements that will include incentive clauses for candidates when accepting an interim deputy city administrator role. This will help to provide a level of certainty for candidates who are leaping into the unknown for themselves and their families. To support this important work that the city has ahead of us over the next year. For example, options for severance and potential to extend for 1 year at the discretion of the city administrator are considerations can entice interim roles. These incentives allow the city to position ourselves as an employer of choice in our competitive labor market while still complying with Oregon's pay equity limits in recruitment, therefore allowing us to enhance our compensation package. These classifications were approved the past December and will be addressed in an upcoming budget process. This approval today will allow the city to identify highly qualified candidates for critical ongoing service delivery and shared priorities for our organization. Do you have any questions about the ordinance in front of you?
Commissioner Gonzalez.
I just had a couple. I think one of the pieces that jumped out for myself was the concept that we would, at least with respect to interim DCAs, potentially offering 6 months severance. Can you just, we had a pretty robust conversation with Commissioner Rubio's office on this yesterday that actually enlightened my thinking on this a little bit. But can you just walk through the perceived risk? So for a candidate, say they're an existing bureau director, they accept the DCA role, new mayor comes in January 2025 with the new city administrator and deems them not to be the right person for that position long-term. Is it fair to say that that's sort of the risk that these candidates would be taking in accepting these roles? I mean, that's just one scenario, but we're just trying to really play through the career risk people would be taking to accept those deputy roles on an interim basis.
That's correct, Commissioner Gonzalez. Folks who take these interim roles will not have potentially not have a landing place if they were not selected to be permanently appointed to a DCA role. That means they could remain unemployed for a period of time. One of the factors that we use in determining the 6-month severance is that currently the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that it takes roughly 20.8 weeks for someone to be unemployed before they find another job. And you're talking about folks who are in an even smaller niche of an occupational grouping, so it may take them even longer to become employed again.
And you alluded to in your comments the pay equity analysis. So just maybe speak to that with respect to the interim roles for a second. Is that essentially saying that we can't pay them a premium for an interim given the heightened risk? But sometimes in the private sector, when you're dealing with short-term assignments and there's you don't have a lot of job security in the role and you may be moving or taking a, you have real opportunity costs. Sometimes there's some sort of premium to address that. But is that unavailable in the public sector, or just walk me through how that plays out?
So one of the reasons why we reference pay equity is because, as you all know, the city is working through our next fiscal year budget, and we may not have the ability to pay folks at the top of range for their talent and skill. And so, they will likely be some policy decisions made internally around how we pay folks that go into those interim roles to save money.
I think that answers my questions for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions at this point? Do we have public testimony on this item?
We do. We have 3 people signed up.
Very good. 3 minutes each. Name for the record.
The first is Bob Weinstein.
Welcome, Mr. Weinstein. Thank you for being here.
Morning, Mayor and
Thank you for your patience.
Again, good morning. Mayor and the council, my name is Bob Weinstein, and I'm speaking to you today as a taxpayer and a candidate for city council. I stand before you today to express strong objections to the emergency ordinance proposed to award 6-month severance packages to interim deputy administrators, aptly dubbed the golden parachutes for all, a move that I believe is both fiscally irresponsible and out of touch with the realities faced by our city. My concern lies in the fiscal irresponsibility inherent in awarding lavish severance packages amounting to a staggering $1.3 million to temporary employees whose impact on city services is destined to be short-lived. That money could be better spent addressing urgent needs like public safety and transportation, which are currently struggling to identify adequate funding. Severance should be reserved for extraordinary situations, not handed out routinely. 6-month severance after possibly 6 months of work is way out of bounds for both private and public sectors. Providing lush severance packages on the taxpayer's dime is a slap in the face to the hardworking people of Portland. Why the inconsistency with many other city employees, especially including police officers and firefighters who risk their lives, who work year after year without such a severance benefit? It sends the wrong message that public servants can expect cushy safety nets even when their tenure is temporary. I ask you to reject this proposal. As I stated to you in November, voters approved a new charter, not a blank check to expand bureaucracy. Staffing structured decisions, especially one with an annual fiscal note of $2.5 million or $418,000 per person, should be made by the new mayor and council, not you, not the current council. You should not saddle the incoming mayor and council with these proposed increases, especially when the costs of transition are already soaring well above the estimates provided to you and the public by the Charter Commission. This severance proposal does not constitute an emergency. The real ongoing emergency is the public safety crisis plaguing our streets, and that is where available funds should be directed. In closing, the people of Portland deserve responsible fiscal policies and transparent governance from their leaders. As a candidate and hopefully a future member of this council, I'm committed to upholding those values. Thank you for your time and all you do to serve the people of this great city. I appreciate the opportunity to share my perspective. I'm willing to answer any questions.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Commissioner Gonzalez has a question.
Bob, I just want to thank you for your testimony today. I share with you deep concerns about the growing price tag of transition. This, in particular, this area of essentially new layer of bureaucracy that wasn't explicitly mentioned in the ballot measure is truly an area of concern. I share that with you. I think the challenge, and I'll have a question back to our HR team, is we have congregated the bureaus in service areas and trying to figure out what's the right amount of management given that consolidation. Essentially, we previously had commissioners overseeing a cluster of bureaus, and going forward, there's somewhat of a management vacuum to address. Is 6 the right number? Is 4 the right number? All I will say is I share some level of frustration about both the growing price tag as well as this particular layer of bureaucracy that voters did not approve, that was not spelled out in the ballot measure. I'm just not clear on if we have a viable alternative given where we are now.
If I could briefly respond to that, I think you do, having been in that situation myself in public management. There's no reason why, for example, in public safety, instead of having a new $400,000 a year temporary position with 6 months of severance or $209,000 to given to that person, the police chief, the fire chief can coordinate among themselves. And I would apply the same thing to each and every of the other departments under the new organization. The directors are professional. They should be given direction to coordinate with one another. They don't need somebody sitting on top of them for 6 months who may get terminated by the incoming mayor, and then we, the taxpayers, have to give them $209,000 each on the way out. That is offensive, frankly.
Yeah, I had many similar reactions to this piece, and maybe the question back to HR is for bureau leads, what is the current policy for severance? If we were to offer a bureau director a contract right now, what's the amount of severance they?
1 year.
1 year. So we're offering less than what new bureau director would get.
That's correct.
And on the permanent DCA roles, so I've been very, as has Bob, been real focused on the temporary, but on the permanent going forward, is this ordinance addressing the amount of severance that would be offered in a permanent DCA role?
It does not. The plan is that as we move through the transition process, all of our human resource administrative roles will be evaluated as they relate to the new structure, and there will be an opportunity for us to revise the rule related to director contracts that currently exist. And there will be an opportunity for stakeholder feedback as well as council.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
If I could jump in here too. I was sort of where Bob was initially, but I've spent a lot of time thinking about it, talking to people, looking at what other cities do, how they're organized, including, by the way, I've looked at private sector organizations and how they're organized. And we will be going into 2025 with what I would describe as a 3/4 baked governance model. We're not going to be making all of the decisions for the next city council. We'll be making a lot of them because we owe the incoming city council and the incoming mayor an operational government. And on January 1st, that government will be a city administrator operated government. So we're putting into place what we think is the right model to keep the trains running into the next year. And then of course the new council can take a look at it and decide we got it right, or we got it largely right, or we got it partially right, or we got it wrong. And they can make whatever decisions they want to make at that time. But we owe them an operational government. It's hard for people to see the value in a 6-month severance package for a position that probably will last a year. I agree with you. On the other hand, the absence of those positions, I think, would be very problematic for the continued operation of the city. And I hope we will be wise enough to pick people who actually, they're qualified and can do this job and want to do it on an ongoing basis, so that severance won't be an issue. I would also argue that you mentioned public safety as being an area that doesn't need oversight. In virtually every other city our size, in fact, they have a public safety bureau that coordinates the leaders in each of those different public safety functions. And we haven't had that here. And so I think this is a reason, if you've followed some of our budget discussions, the discussions we've had with the Fire Bureau and others, I actually think the DCA position is valuable in this particular context. So again, we can agree or disagree. The new council, if you're on it, voters willing. If you don't like it, you can change it, but we think this is our best shot now.
I understand that, but I just want to respond briefly to what I was saying. I wasn't saying that ultimately there should or shouldn't be a person in charge of multiple departments. I question it right now. I'm saying it shouldn't be done temporarily for people who will not get up to speed in the next few months before there's an election. The election's in November. Between November and January, I suspect those who are elected will start commenting on what the structure should look like. And
Agreed.
Having people for 4 months or 5 months now makes no sense, especially when there's a huge price tag. It's $2.54 million for these 6 people. And the severance, I mean, it's not done in the real world. Find another example where people get hired for 6 months and get 6 months of severance on the way out the door. Anyway, I don't know of any. And I did, Google's my friend. I try to research it. I didn't see anything.
Well, all of your arguments are good. I'm not disputing. It could work out that way, or it could work out the way that we're proposing. And the truth is we don't know. We're building a new form of government, but it is based on what we see as models for equivalent sized cities that have city administrators. So it's not completely made up. And the other point I just want to make here, Bob, is hopefully we will select people for those positions that hit the ground running on day one. I'm hoping we don't pick people who are just completely brand new to Portland city government, don't understand how the bureaus are organized or what the operational issues are, how the budgets work. We need people who are very qualified, but to get them, we're going to ask them to leave other positions that are lucrative.
Right.
And for a position that may last a year. So there is risk inherent in accepting those positions. We're just trying to balance what's the right incentive versus our desire to have highly qualified people in those slots.
Okay, I want to make 2 points. I understand that. Having been involved in that position, we kept positions open. Somebody has to ask, can so-and-so's position be left open? So if he, she, they come back, there is a place for them. The other thing, you guys need to start connecting the budget dots. There's a $3 million proposed shortfall in Portland street response. You're talking about $2.54 million right here for temporary employees, half of which is a severance, a very much severance. You talked about looking at other cities. Your team did that okay for administrative staff. And we're ending up with, from my perspective, a very bloated bureaucracy. Despite telling you, and I said this to you in November, that they looked at other cities for council staff. The council staff is now being reduced, not from the current number, which I understand is high given the roles that you guys have, to 1. And meanwhile, according to news accounts, your staff is going out looking for 2 offices for each council member for 1 staff. So the taxpayers are going to spend money having an empty office somewhere because it's absurd. And as I said to you, if you look at the peer cities, they all have more than what is on the table for council staff. The proposal on the table is effectively kneecapping future council members, and I believe the future mayor, from being able to carry out what the voters want them to do, and that's respond to constituents. You can't do that with 1 staff.
Yeah,
You can't do that with 1 staff and 2 offices.
We'll take that up in the budget process, and you'll be back. And by the way, I agree with you on the district offices. My public statement on that is a decision that the incoming council and the incoming mayor should make about how they want to organize in their districts. That's really up to them. But there was a request on the part of the current council to at least evaluate that, look at options, see what might be out there. And so that's being responsive.
Right, but the larger point is, You're talking about 2.5 million here. You need 3 for Portland Street response. Which is more important? Temporary bureaucrats, you can't afford both. From
Well, we'll see.
what I hear.
Unfortunately, as mayor, I have the unenviable position of offering the proposed budget, so we'll see what we can do. At any rate, I enjoyed this. Thank you for being here. and I
Thank
hope
you.
you
I've
come back.
enjoyed it also, and we'll see what the voters think.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it, and thank you for running. It's not an easy thing to be doing. All right, who's next? And I promise I won't ask so many questions.
Next, we have Rachel Clark.
Rachel, welcome. Rachel. Thank you for being here.
I feel a little left out. You guys just got the whole conversation out of the way. I don't have a lot to add.
All right.
Bob, you're great. I am Rachel Clark. I am the owner and manager of Goose Hollow Inn and Fehrenbacherhof Coffee House. Happy Oregon's birthday, as well as Valentine's Day today. Ash Wednesday as well. So I am here today to ask you to reject the emergency ordinance that authorizes a 6-month severance package. Like Bob, I'm focused on that severance piece. I don't really need to read everything that I prepared because you guys kind of hashed it out here already. Kind of jumped in with the questions before I think all of us got to testify. I'm a small business owner. Offering this benefit comes at a time that citizens are already feeling distrustful of how our funds are being spent. We've kind of gone over that already. The optics on it are not good, whether at this moment in time or possibly down the line when it comes to light that one of these people are dismissed and the huge severance package they get. When I was reading the ordinance, I was a little confused about whether it's, if they get the severance, so say it's 6 months, they get $209,000 plus 6 months salary plus 50% of their taxes and benefits. As somebody said, it was just 6 months severance.
I'll look to HR on that.
Yeah.
Yes, it also includes their 50% of their benefits. So
Is it 209,000 plus their next 6 months salary plus 50%?
I'd have to review the numbers that our budget folks put together as a rough estimate based on what could potentially happen and how much would be as part of the fiscal budget. So I'd have to look those numbers over.
Gotcha. Well, that's how it read. And so it really did come out to more than just 6 months. It came out to like, oh, you worked 6 months plus you get an entire year's worth of salary plus a little bit more on top of that. As a small business owner, I find that offering the severance package for a temporary position as an extravagant and unnecessary means to locate and hire qualified candidates. The employment contract itself of each position shall outline it as a temporary position. It will offer a good salary. It will be filled by a qualified candidate who also fits the role. And the true part of it all, though, is that whether you offer a good salary or a salient 6-month severance package, you might get some qualified candidates, but you're still not guaranteed to get the correct or good candidates. So I just, along with Bob and others, I don't think this is a good deal for taxpayers. I heard what you were saying about the rationale for it, so I appreciate that conversation that you had. Thank you for your service to the city and for your time today.
Thank you, and thank you for running. We appreciate it. Thank you.
And council, can I just address the last question?
Yeah, of course.
Christina was able
You
to
bet.
provide me with an answer, which is the 209 is the total assumed amount.
Total.
Total.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Tracy, a question. First of all, Tracy, it's good to see you, and this might be one of your first council meetings in this role.
It is.
All right, well, welcome.
Yeah.
You said something about 1 year severance for directors. Could you give me more details to that? That was.
Yeah, I'd have to look up the contract to give you real specific information. But we typically enter into a 3-year agreement with current directors with some other clauses around in what conditions we will pay a severance.
On the front end, okay. On the front end, if it's a
Yes.
3-year contract.
Correct.
But it's not one size fits all.
It's the same director contract for all directors, correct? That are permanent.
Rebecca, was there one other person?
There is John Turan.
I'll actually give up my time. I don't need to speak.
I couldn't hear that. Sorry, he doesn't want to testify.
He's giving up his time.
Great. Thank you for being here, though. We appreciate it. It's good to see you. Hopefully, we'll see you again as well. Thank you for being here. Any further discussion?
I got two more questions
you
for you.
bet.
I just want to be
Gonzalez.
crystal clear on this. Under this ordinance, you would be permitted to give up to 6 months severance, but you don't have to give 6 months in the agreements. Is that correct? I'm just looking at the language of the ordinance, not the underlying contract.
That is correct.
Okay.
We have a draft contract that we will share with council offices.
And if someone serves the full year, under the terms of this, would they be entitled to any severance at the expiration of their engagement?
It depends on the terms of the ending of their engagement. So there are some clauses within the draft contract for reasons in which we will pay a severance and reasons in which we will not.
Okay, so if the new mayor and city administrator in June 30th of 2025 no longer feel that this deputy is the right person for that position, it's not a for cause, it's what they have served a year, and their services are no longer wanted, are they entitled to severance under that scenario?
They are.
So we would be paying 6 months in that scenario, or up to 6 months depending on the agreement.
That's correct.
I guess my commentary to my colleagues is, we may need to really have a discussion if we really want to fill all of these positions between now and the end of the year, given that this is going to be tying the hands a bit of the next mayor and city administrator. That's not necessarily a discussion that we need to resolve today, but as part of the budget discussion, that is some tail risk for the next council, the next mayor, and the next city administrator. I'll just leave it at that. But.
If I may add one clarification, Commissioner Gonzalez, you touched on a point that might be helpful for the public to know. If a position is terminated for cause, for reasons, they wouldn't be entitled to a severance in that case.
Very helpful reminder, and we're just dealing with a scenario where we have to plan for whoever comes next and are in some ways tying their hands a bit to support the transition. So but I absolutely hear your point. Thank you.
Can I ask you a question? So this is a position that is senior to bureau directors, correct?
That is correct.
And bureau directors currently have a year of severance, is that correct?
That is correct.
So we're actually offering these people half the severance that all the other bureau directors will already have in place, is that correct?
That is correct.
So I'm not clear how this is significant. I mean, I think I see your point, Commissioner Gonzalez, but this seems like they negotiated or they're proposing a less onerous restriction on these positions than what we're currently all doing collectively with the bureau directors we appoint, which the next city council will inherit.
I think the unique risk, right, is you're putting a deputy in that maybe he's only there for a few months, doesn't have a long track record, may be deemed surplus or just not the right person for that role by the next city administrator, the next mayor, and we're saddling them with a check they're going to have to write if they choose not to continue to renew those deputies. And again, I put that on the new book.
Well, I guess ultimately this raises a really good question. The current city commissioners are going to appoint the DCAs, is that correct?
That is correct.
So they could choose not to. If they believe their service area does not warrant a DCA, they would not have to hire a DCA, is that correct?
That is also correct.
Okay, good. So it's a matter of preference and choice.
And actually, your mind's going where mine is. I mean, that might be the way for us to hedge the risk here, is not to fill all the positions between now and the end of the year. That actually helps mitigate the risk of this. But I'll leave it at that.
Well, we should probably talk to the interim city administrator as well, because remember, look, we've got a $7 billion organization with 7,000 employees. We're actually light at the senior level management level compared to a lot of organizations. I just want to be clear on that. This is a really complex organization. We have lots of collective bargaining units. We have over 25 bureaus. It's already pretty thin. And what we're doing is we're shifting responsibility over to one interim city administrator. And we're asking them, 5 to 7 reports is pretty much the maximum that's accepted in modern management theory. Without any DCAs, it's 27 to 1. That just strikes me as ambitious, given all of the challenges facing the city. But if collectively during the budget process we decide we don't want to have that level of coverage at the senior level of our organization, I guess we can make that decision. I'll go on the record and say I'm not comfortable with that decision. I think that's a leap.
I was just responding to your point that I think is correct. These commissioners designate the deputy. They may choose not to, and that may be a legitimate way to mitigate the risk on the next council, the next mayor, the next city administrator. There are certainly trade-offs if we go that route. I hear you there. But it's also worth pointing out, whoever we appoint as an interim city administrator, the next mayor may opt not to continue to have them in that role. So there is a real trade-off in terms of facilitating transition and preserving flexibility at not too high a cost for the next mayor.
Right, but they can make that decision, my point, and then I'll leave it because we're all tired, cranky, and hungry. They can make that decision with any of the 27 existing bureau directors. It's, from their perspective, it's all gonna look the same.
Fair enough.
All right, we're done. Commissioner Maps.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And actually, I was just going to take the temperature of the room. I noticed this is an emergency ordinance. I'm wondering if we want to vote on this today or have more discussion. And I'm saying I'm open either
I'm
way.
discussed out. I'm ready to vote, but I'll leave it to the rest of the council. If people aren't going to support it, there's no point going forward with an emergency ordinance.
Oh, it's emergency. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just want to say something for the record. I think the conversation that Tracy, you were having with Mayor Wheeler about this 1 year, I think there's nuances with that. So I think we have to be careful not to say that everybody that takes that position and maybe has a breach of their contract and, leave on. I mean, it doesn't always merit a full year. And so is that true? Because if I was listening in and I heard that everybody that became a director, no matter when they left and how they left, they get a whole year of severance.
There are, of course, always nuances to someone's departure from the city.
Just want to make sure we got that in the record. Thanks.
Great. Let's see. I think that is, and we completed public testimony?
Yes, we can.
So temperature of the room, should we go forward with the roll or should we remove the emergency?
I'm curious what Commissioner Rubio and
I'm
Commissioner
fine to move
Maps.
forward, but I'm also fine to take off the emergency if people need more conversation.
I can go both ways.
I'm not to a yes yet, so if you pull it.
Okay, so I'd like to propose an amendment to remove the emergency ordinance. Can I get a second?
Second.
Call the roll.
Rubio,
Aye.
Ryan,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Maps,
Aye.
Wheeler.
All right, the ordinance is now a non-emergency ordinance. This is a first reading of a non-emergency ordinance. It moves to second reading. Thank you to our hardworking staff. Before we leave, one other quick item, Commissioner Maps, I'll get to you in a second. We had somebody testify earlier this morning, Lori McFarland, and she started showing a video, and I misunderstood what that video was. And I believed it was a video that she had created and was showing to council. I thought it was a little far afield and perhaps even offensive to some people, so I asked her to stop. I owe her an apology. That was not her video. That video was apparently made by the city of Portland, by the Water Bureau. I don't know why, and I will express my dismay. That the important thing here is, I think we all know I can be a jerk sometimes, but when I'm wrong, I own up to it. And Lori, if you're still out there, and I actually already did send her an email, I was wrong, and I owe you an apology. And so with that, Commissioner Mapps, you have a comment.
Yeah, I have two things. Mr. Mayor, I'm the guy in charge of the Water Bureau. I will figure out what was going on with the video, and we'll send an email to everyone on council to clarify what was going on in that space. The other thing which I wanted to highlight before we go today is comes from the Peabods space. Since we've been in here, I'm following a little bit of Peabod traffic, which is indicating that we have a winter weather warning. I'll tell you, the weather forecast has changed in the 3 hours that we've been in this room, and I'm told it's still kind of volatile. Right now, I believe we could expect some snow starting as soon as 4 o'clock, especially up in the West Hills and east of 205, I believe. I wouldn't necessarily rush home immediately, but this is probably the point in the day when everyone who could hear my voice should begin to think about their winter travel strategies, with the assumption that snow may come in. Thank you. That's all I got.
Good reminder. Thank you. Colleagues, thank you. We went over with no break. Apologize to staff, and I definitely apologize to the people at Open Signal. We are adjourned.
Good discussion.